I suppose we're here. This music. There we go. Alright, can everybody hear me? Not too loud, too quiet. Wow, my camera is a tiny bit high. Hello. How are people doing? Yes, you are early, I suppose. We can hear the piano too, I guess. Greetings from Germany. Hello. Hello. Thank you so much for joining from Germany. I appreciate that. Yeah, this is the once a month European stream, I guess. So fun times. I like low-key cannot find my laptop charger, so that's a little bit concerning. But it's a good thing we're not streaming on laptop. We're streaming on a desktop PC. So yeah, and I now have a tablet for music. The resident European is here. Hello, Calico. You're the one who, I suppose, incited the European streams, since you told me to stop oppressing Europeans. So, but anyways, how are people doing? What have y'all been up to? Watching? I don't know. I don't care. 6 people. We're just chilling, you know. Probably get to video reviews around like starting in like 15 minutes or so that people can trickle in and out. The Asian audience probably is not very happy since this is quite early for them, or quite late, I guess, depending on who you ask. But it's all right. It's all right. This is, you know, it's for either. It's always going to be early or late for somebody, and so, you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. But all right, one second, team. So yeah, how are people doing? What are we up to? What are we playing on the piano? What are we watching? What are we? I don't know. What are we feeling? Chicken with rice. Good stuff. Good stuff. That's like the bodybuilder diet. Oh, you got a haircut, Winter? Nice. When's the face reveal coming, dude? I feel like you haven't. Oh no, you uploaded last week to Doki Doki Literature Club. It was quite good. I enjoyed it a lot, and I was like thinking, like, dang, if I'm gonna write an arrangement, it would probably sound like that, except worse. So I'm like, okay. Kamado Tanjiro no Uta and piano. Good stuff, good stuff. Winter did face reveal? Wait, what? What was that? The newest Animus piece, Lit? I suppose... Oh, I almost made a bad pun by saying that it was lit, but... You know, I saw a Silent Voice again, right, so for the second time like 2 weeks ago, and so it was, you know... It's fresh in my mind, but it's very interesting, right? Like, it does sound a lot like the Mozart's variations on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star with the right, for the second variation, and then like, you know, moving on to the third. You can see a lot of the inspiration there, but I've only played variations like once. That was Mendelssohn variations like that, and yeah, there's a lot of interesting things that can happen. I forget. I listened to it like twice, but not super analytically. But anyways, it's interesting when composers, you know, change the way the theme is played, change the supporting chords, notes, harmonies, textures, and sometimes even write like almost like fugal section, because that's the fun stuff, I guess. Is a kind of face reveal. Learning Animus Unravel. Is everyone learning Animus Unravel? Entire body review. Oh yeah, when Winter sat on the piano, I guess. Played for 8 years. Nice. Sparkle, Kimi no Nawa, and Lit. Good stuff. You know, my favorite movies, I suppose, from 2016. Not that I watched too many movies, so they might be my favorite of all time. Learning piano using MIDI for 4 years. That sounds painful. What the heck? You know, I gotta get on that sheets grind. Is the music okay? It looks like it's coming up a tiny bit loud on my meters. You know, last week the music started off being like too loud, and nobody told me. You know, I was a little bit sad. Especially since I was trying to play guitar too. But, alright. Learning Red Swan at the moment. Let's go. Oh, so this week I finished rewatching Your Lie in April for the second time. It's pretty dope. It was, you know... Yeah. It was strangely... I shouldn't say strangely emotional. It was very emotional. It was very touching, and I enjoyed it a lot. I will say, I think Your Lie in April is a great show, and is my favorite show still because of all the piano factors and all the character growth that I can relate to. But I think from a very objective standard, like there are some things with the storytelling that I would change, you know. But I have watched ReZero, and I would recommend it because I think the character growth is very interesting. It all makes sense. I know a lot of people don't like certain arcs because they feel like, you know, the characters are like a little bit weird. And if you know which arc I'm talking about, then you know. But I think, so I rewatched most of season 1 with a friend who hadn't seen it before, like a week ago, and it first off, Rem Best Girl still, right? I don't understand people who trash others for liking Rem because she's literally like the best. But well, fighting words. I guess I'm inciting my audience. Oh no! If you say who is Rem, I'm gonna no. Okay, we're ending the stream now. It's over. No, I'm kidding. But you know, but it's very exciting, and it's an interesting twist, I think, on the isekai genre. So yeah, I would recommend that. Is my mic slightly twisted? There we go. Okay, but can I play Realize from ReZero? No, and I'm not taking requests. So please do not put requests in my chat. Currently prepping for a high school exam. Good luck. Yes, July and April is the thing that got me back. They learned the first Blad. Let's go, Calico. Calico, where's your Blad? Where's your Blad on whatchamacallit, on YouTube? That's the good stuff. I wanna hear it. I like hearing all the, you know, interpretations. But really, better than Rem? What the heck? I don't agree with that statement. But Amelia is a fine character as well. Not confident enough. I'm not quite confident enough in my classical either, but I still do it, so it's okay. Married to cliffhanger, pain, especially in season 1. True. Start playing piano because of Your Lie in April. Yeah, Your Lie in April does a really nice job, I think, of portraying all the things that go on in someone's head, you know, when they're playing. I don't know for like other people who have performed before, but like the thoughts that all the characters have are like very realistic, right? Like those are the types of thoughts that you have when you're comfortable enough with the score to not be only thinking about the score, right? And so it's like for some people, you know, you never for a lot of people only think about the notes because you're not comfortable enough with the memory and stuff like that. But when you are, you're thinking about like who's watching me, you know, what am I trying to say, like all these more interesting things that would seem a little bit out of place, right, for someone who's never been there or done that before. So it's very interesting because I've done that before. I felt that way before, and yeah, relatable. Well, I suppose I did incite the waifu wars in my comment section with my offhanded, you know, Rem Best Girl, but that's okay. You guys are entitled to having your own opinion, and I suppose being wrong. But I'm kidding. Okay, we're just messing around here. But anyways, whew. All right, let me make sure. Y'all catch Halcyon stream today? Mans is like balling out. Like he's like recovering and he's still streamed. I'm like, what the heck? What a guy. But let's see. I need to open some documents just so that I have the sheets for the video reviews that I'm doing today. But all right, here we go. Right there. But quintessential quintuplets, I have not, but I will soon. Yeah. But you barely missed it. Very sad. Yeah. Your watch list, piano journey. You bought a mini keyboard. Mini keyboards are the greatest. I have a Kai 25 key keyboard, and it's very cute, very petite, and I never use it. So, yeah. Forced to take piano lessons. That's the I suppose classic start. Oh, yeah, I almost forgot. I got a new figure came in, a pre-order from October. That's how bad the delays are. But it's a prize figure. It's Chizuru. Chizuru is now joined the collection. She's standing next to Yukino. So I didn't feel like unboxing her on stream because it's kind of a hassle to like, you know, hide stuff. Because I can't edit, but that's okay. Yeah. I suppose. Yeah, I feel like I'm not gonna get much more engagement out of the audience, so we can begin with reviews and stuff like that. Whoa, tablet slipped down. This case is very mediocre. It doesn't stand up very well, so it is mild disappointment. But also it's interesting because I should make this announcement like now, right? So for everyone who didn't see the community post, once I hit 10k subs, I'm going to be doing the promised coffee stream. I don't think that very many of you were here when I promised a coffee stream, because I was at like 300 subs or like 200 subs in the first week of March, and somebody asked me, I started talking about like AeroPress coffee, and somebody asked me if I was gonna stream myself making coffee and do a coffee stream, but that is coming now at 10,000 subs, and I will be doing a live Q&A for like, you know, an hour or so while I make and drink my coffee. So yes, coffee stream is coming at 10,000 subs. It will happen likely in the middle of the week, but also if 10,000 subs happens anytime like this next week, I unfortunately won't be able to stream because I am working a gig that's going to take several days, and so next week there's no stream either because I'm going to be away. But I will, you know, I will be back, and during the week we will have a coffee stream. I contemplated trying to set up like me like cooking breakfast too, but I figured that it was probably too difficult, and my, you know, family probably wants to move around with a little bit more freedom without cutting into my stream. So a gig or the gig. This is a wedding. I think Cassidy, you would know which wedding this is, but it's coming up this next week. It's one of our friends, so yes. Is it just one type of coffee or 10 different types of coffee? It is, so actually today I went to a cafe for the first time, cafe/coffee roaster, and I haven't really been around, you know, like specialty coffee in my area. There was like 2 roasters, I think, and I went to one of them and sat down, had a egg and cheese bagel sandwich, right, and a cup of pour over, and it was very good. I liked it a lot. And so, you know, I'm going to probably purchase a bag of beans from them and grind those. And we will do AeroPress coffee, simply because AeroPress is a little bit more involved in the French press. And so I suppose I will demonstrate how I do my inverted AeroPress brew. But yes, it's the gig. It is. Funeral. Somebody went to a funeral. Hello, do I like Naruto? I did not grow up watching Naruto, so unfortunately I cannot answer that question because I haven't seen Naruto since either. Yeah, but yeah, Fruit's a pro, so that's all I gotta say. But wow, I was about to say something else. I forget what it was. Oh, and there's another stream that's coming after that. also in celebration of 10,000 subs, but this was promised at 1,000 subs. And it was that I was going to play something and stream myself playing something. So you're going to show up, or I'm going to stream that at some point too. Unfortunately, it will be at night, so European Squad, I'm so sorry, because that's the best time for myself and for my family, right, to play on the piano for a long time. But since I'll be downstairs in my usual grand instead of this one, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I'm working out the program now. It'll probably be in 3 or 4 weeks, and I am probably going to, practice for hours a day trying to get that down. I was looking at my list of things that I wanted to play this summer, and I literally have like 10 new pieces that I want to learn, and I gotta learn relearn like 10 old pieces for this recital concert, right? Because I want it to be as professional as possible. I want to feel like I'm performing again, even though I'm not. So yes, live performance, exactly. Fruit is built difference. And whoever attended a funeral, I'm sorry for your loss. But hopefully this stream will lift your spirits somewhat. You're not successful until you drink Americano, no sugar, almond milk base, investment banker. Coming from the man working in finance himself, I suppose. So I think that sounds about right. Or if you're a hipster like me, no, I'm kidding, I'm not a hipster. But if you're a hipster, you just drink your specialty coffee, light roast, or sorry, light to medium roast, you're looking for just like fruity notes. Unless you're into the dark caramel, right, chocolatey flavors, and you do your Chemex pour over because you're a hipster. Yeah, I don't know, but some mangas? No. Why do you play on a digital piano? Because well, first off, when I'm at college and living in a dorm, this is the keyboard that I have. Second, it's easier to stream at home too, because it's away from like everyone else, and I can have this in my room. And third, I suppose it's just a little bit more convenient. So I don't practice on this keyboard, right? I practice on the piano that I record on. So this is just for media and entertainment purposes. How many languages do I speak? I speak 2. I speak English and Igpay, Atenlay. No, I'm kidding. I'm messing. I don't speak Pig Latin. I speak Cantonese as well. And I speak a little bit of Mandarin. Like I can get by, right, with very basic Mandarin. And I have enough understanding of Spanish that if I listen very hard, I can track a conversation, like 30% of a conversation or 40% of a conversation, but not offer anything in return. I can't say anything. It's like, sí, por favor, and use unconjugated verbs to try to hopefully, say what I want to say. Necesito dormir, right? Like stuff like that. Yes, we'll give it, just things are rolling. I suppose my European audience doesn't get to interact with me on the stream that much, so I'll answer questions for like 10 more minutes, and then we'll get onto the video review. We're starting with Calico's cover of, what is it, the Promise We Made? Something like that from Howl's Moving Castle. And then we'll move on to Sayuri Chan's, I forget all the titles, and then hopefully in Noel's Black Cat, or something from Black Clover. I haven't seen Black Clover, so I don't know. Yeah, real piano, yes. For under $500, probably the Yamaha P, like, was it 45? So this is the P125. This is around $600. If you want to get the accessories for it in a bundle, you can get it for like around $650 or so, or $700. It's like in that range. But the cheaper version of this is the P45 or something, right? Or you can look it up, or P115. I forget which models are discontinued and which ones are still continued. But if you, affiliate link in the description. Yeah, but there's an Amazon link to this piano, and if you just look up Yamaha whatever P series, it'll come up in Google. So I have this. Yes, I speak Cantonese. Yeah, 3 languages. So I'm surprisingly, I surprise myself by how I'm able to speak Cantonese sometimes. Because, you know, it's actually interesting because a few months ago, I would try to speak with my aunt. Oh, this is one of the side benefits of having this YouTube channel. So a few months ago, I would talk to my aunt in Cantonese, and she would have a really hard time understanding me because my pronunciation has gotten really bad, because my accent is very strong. 30 viewers. And so she would like switch to her even worse English to try to talk to me, and I would just feel so bad, right? Because I'm like, man, my Cantonese is that bad. It's not that I can't understand her, but I'm just not fluent enough to respond quickly enough, right? So one of the things in my server that's happened is that I have a Cantonese or Cannotese channel. And so I'll hop on, and people from Hong Kong, I suppose my viewers from Hong Kong, will talk to me in Cantonese, and we will talk in Cantonese. Unfortunately, none of them are here right now because it is 4 a.m., 5 a.m. for them. But, you know, I do that. And so, like, people, dude, like, even Halcyon, like, hops on. Halcyon, if you guys, you all probably know Halcyon. Kitsune, you probably may or may not know him. But, you know, they'll hop on, we'll talk in Cantonese. And it's, like, super dope to talk about music and anime in Cantonese. And then, like, literally, like, a few days ago, like, last week, my aunt came over, and I was able to hold an entire conversation in Cantonese. I'm like, wow, all this practice really paying off. But, yeah. So, mods, if people ask about the piano, you can always just, you know, throw that command in. But do I have a grand piano at home or an upright? I have a grand. It's a baby grand. We sold our upright relatively recently. It was also a community post. Narumi, thanks for stopping by. Yes. Trying to move from semi-weighted, I recommend a digital piano. Yamaha P125, yes sir. Playing scales and learning pieces. What should a beginner pianist use to improve quickly? I think, honestly, here's the thing, right? So actually this week I talked to my piano teacher again. I saw my piano teacher for the first time in like 2 or 3 years because of like COVID and like school stuff. And it was really, really sweet and really, really good. She's getting pretty like up there in age, so it's good to be able to like, you know, talk to her again. And it's like, hopefully I'll be doing a video with her soon too, since she is much, much more knowledgeable than me, right? She's been playing for many, many years and has taught many, many more students than I could like hope to, like in a one-on-one setting, and has taught prodigies too, right? Who have gone to Juilliard. Like her own daughters went to Juilliard and Curtis, not for piano, but for like, you know, cello and violins. But it's like it runs in the family, I suppose. But yeah, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, improving. And so I think the biggest thing with improving, right, as a beginner, beginners always want to learn very, very quickly. You always overestimate how much you're learning. And that's just the fact of the matter, right? And like for someone like me, and obviously I don't intend to project myself onto anyone else who's better than me or like even around my level or even worse than me, right? But I can spend months working on one piece, right, and still not be happy with it. For example, I've spent 4 or 5 months working on Chrysler's or Rock's arrangement of Chrysler's Love Sorrow, and I'm still very dissatisfied with how it sounds. In fact, it probably sounds really bad. And if I put out the recording that I did like 2 weeks ago, you'll probably be like, wow, Watt, that was not the greatest thing ever, right? And I might put it out simply because it's tracking my progress. But it's like for a beginner, when you spend a few months on a piece like that, I mean, there's like yes and no, right? Like on one hand, you could be like dollying for too long, or you're playing a piece that's too far above your level, or right, you're getting impatient, right? And so that's where I suppose the teacher comes in and more personalized influence comes in to make those sorts of calls to help you move along at the proper rate. And so I think if you're doing scales and technical exercises, right, as a beginner, and you're progressing like steadily through like shorter pieces and starting to pick up a little bit like some bigger pieces, right? Maybe like Mozart's sonata in C, or maybe some sonatinas cool out, right? Or like doing the Bach inventions, right? Take it slow and take the time to digest everything that you're learning, because those are the things that will be fundamental to everything else that you do in the future. As my teacher said, you know, 2 days ago when I talked to her, one of the things that actually a story. Oh gosh, I've been telling this story a bit now since I totally forgotten. Right, one of the things that my mother apparently called her up and asked when I was a child, when my brother was a child as well, and we were learning from her, was whether or not we actually needed to play Bach's 2-part inventions, or like cycle through them and keep upkeeping them essentially every day. Right, so she would assign new 2-part inventions, but she would also require that we kept playing the old ones, right? So like after playing like 1 through 4, right, when we wanted 5 through 6, like still play the old ones like at least once a day, or not once a day, but at least one of them per day, right, to keep them up. So my mom called. It's like, do we really need to keep doing this? And she's like, yes, you do. And like years later, right, the reason why I would believe, right, and I would bet money on the fact that I'm still able to voice well, despite not playing for like really all too much for like a year and a half, and like losing some steam at the end of high school, is because that foundation was laid, right, with the Bach conventions. And as she said on Thursday, if you know how to play Bach, you can essentially play everything else. Obviously, you know, there's like technical challenges with different things, but like Bach, you learn how to do the Baroque type of rubato, right? You learn how to voice, you learn how to play with finger, you learn a little bit of like careful arm manipulation and very careful pedaling, right? You take that and you expand that in like Mozart, Beethoven, into romantic pieces, right? So learning the fundamentals is super important. Take your time, don't rush it, right? Don't rush through the things that are going to service you for the rest of your life, basically, when you're playing. That's, I guess, what I have to say about like progressing quickly, right? You're progressing well, right? If you're progressing well if you're learning what you need to learn, and don't try to push it too hard, right? Everyone wants to get like there faster, but like what does faster even mean if you're not doing it well? And it takes more time than you anticipate. So be patient, my friend. And yeah, this sort of playing is not built overnight. Yes. Anyways, sorry, that was a long rant. Scales and pitches. Different rhythms, yes sir. Music theory is important. Music theory is helpful for understanding the structure of a piece, but honestly, for years I didn't know any music theory. Throughout most of my competing years in middle school and high school, I had literally forgotten most of the music theory that I learned at the age of 10, because, you know, went up to figure, like starting from the bottom, went up to figure bass, started doing like chordal analysis, and then stopped taking music theory lessons, and I just forgot all of it because I didn't care, and it's fine, right? So music theory is like, but now, right, when I'm going back to play, I appreciate music theory a lot more because it helps me understand the structure of a piece. And so music theory aids in interpretation, music theory aids in memory, music theory aids in, you know, understanding the piece and what the composer is trying to say. But also, it is possible to get by without, especially if you have a good teacher that helps you understand what the composer is trying to say. I suppose. Yeah, listening skills are super important. I stress listening skills all the time. That's why in all my videos or like whatever, I talk about learning to listen. Learning phrasing coming from listening, right? So, anyways, let's see. Wow, my screen. Oh, there we go. All right, that looks like most of the comments. Hopefully that rant was informative. I don't know. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, so it's funny because YouTube recently, I think, has like an issue with a server or something. Because like yesterday, I lost like on my YouTube Studio, it showed me that I lost like 100 subs, and like I lost like thousands of views, and I'm like, what happened? But like, you know, on the YouTube that you see, I still have all my subs, and I'm like, sus. But anyways, allow us to perhaps begin with the video reviews portion of the stream, which is, I suppose, what some people are here for and not. Yeah, so actually for, let's see. If there are any last questions about anything, I would be happy to field them now. Yeah, I think it's gotta be a glitch, right? Because like, just no way I got 0 views for like 6 hours straight. I hope. Maybe my content isn't that good. But you know, yeah, so, but I will happily field any last questions now because I will be unable to read chat later as I'm going through the videos and, you know, hopefully talking with the person who I am reviewing. What would I do for a Klondike bar? I would go to the store and buy it. I would spend a few bucks for a pack of 6, and that's about it. Unfortunately, I don't care too much about Klondike bars, but you know, sorry, the bots is stuck. Oh shoot, Winter, you got me. But what I find a lot of people when they eat Klondike bars, they just like grab the thing by the bar, right? Like through the wrapper, right? But what I've always done is I would hold the wrapper taut like this on either side so that I can still hold up the bar, and so that it doesn't, so that my fingers don't melt the chocolate. I don't know if people do that, but that's how I've always done it, and I feel like I've never seen anyone else do it otherwise, and it's kind of interesting to me. Do submissions have to be recorded IRL? If you have a recording, would love some feedback. Yeah, so they just have to be on YouTube. They can be unlisted, private, or probably unlisted, and they also have to be, but I asked for these sorts of submissions on my Discord. So if you're not in my Discord, you should join my Discord. The link should be in the description. If not, one of my mods can throw it into the chat. But yeah, and so I announced about like approximately which days I'm going to stream and do these sorts of reviews, and then I will select from which ones I feel like are going to be at least most helpful. And again, I'm going to say if you submit an Unravel video, I'm probably not going to do it because I'm tired of Unravel. And I've done enough analysis on Unravel, and I've played enough Unravel. Not actually played Unravel, but you know, streamed for several hours practicing it, that I think there's enough comments there for you to parse through it, and I'm just too lazy to review another Unravel playing because it's going to be the same. So, anyways. Did I see the Demon Slayer Season 2 trailer? It's dope. Oh my gosh. I saw Mugen Train again 2 weeks ago, and you know, I watched the trailer and I was like, bro, I'm so hyped. I'm like literally like, please now. But anyways, yes. Synthesia video. It has to be IRL because I want to comment on what you're doing. Right, I want to be able to see what your hands are doing and stuff like that. Like, I can always make comments about like, play louder here, or like, oh, the phrasing should be like this here, but I also want to tell you how to do it, because that's very abstract and nebulous, or abstract and nebulous mean the same thing. So I'm just being redundant, but like, you know, it's just, you know, it's nice to be able to say, okay, a little bit more wrist here, or like flatter fingers, or you need to curl your fingers a little bit more type of thing, and then to just look at Synthesia. So I also do not do Synthesia videos or C music videos if you submit those. So sorry about that. Demon Slayer Bleach, yeah. But anyways, I will now set up, I suppose, for the next part of the stream, which is reviewing. So we're gonna review Calico's video first because it's dope. Yeah, so typically how I like to select these videos, or at least my thought process, is like, I'm looking to do one video where I feel like I can, how to say, like comment on, for like more musical perspective, a video where I can comment and teach, and then a video where I'm doing mostly teaching, right? You know what I mean? Like suggestions versus like actual like correction, for lack of a better term. But let's see. All right, I'm in video reviews on my Discord. I suppose. Oh, dang, it's Hayashi. Bro, I feel like I haven't seen you in forever. Also, I miss all your impromptu streams, but that's okay. Dude, we should stream together sometime. I don't know what we would do, but that would be pretty fun. You want Unravel musical basics? I also don't review other people's playing that's not yours, because I want to talk about what you did and communicate. So if you're not there, if this person is not there, then I'm probably not going to, you know, work on it. But anyways, let's see. I'm gonna join this and share screen. I will unmute this. Now I'll be playing double. Alright, Calico has joined. And you feel free to just text if that's more comfortable. I don't really mind one way or another, but allow me to set this up to... Alright, and I'm going to pull up the sheets on my tablet because my laptop is going to die because I don't have the charger, but that's okay. Oh, it's these images. Poggers. I feel like it's like I have so many oh, hello. I have so many screens, but like I still don't know how to best utilize them for streaming since I only have one here. But it's okay. Korean dubbed anime? Shocking. Alright. I'm sorry team, I should have thought this through a little bit more before I started, but I was kinda dead today. But that coffee at that coffee shop was really good. Dude, it makes me want to get a Chemex and do pour over. Alright, there we go. Alright, we got the sheets pulled up here. Alright, and allow me to begin. Alright, and let me select the appropriate window. There it is. And turn on this camera, because we're high budget here. Dope. Alright, the top-down camera. Absolutely necessary. I'm not doing reactions, so because I don't want to get struck. Not that I don't run the risk of getting struck with these videos, but at least I'm getting struck for a purpose. If I'm doing a reaction stream, it'll say reaction stream. I just, you know, sometimes, you know, the boy just wants to chill. Alright, so allow me to begin. I'm going to pause the music and I suppose open Discord on my tablet since I'm just going to read the sheets from here anyways. Yeah, I'm like trying to juggle too many windows. How does this look? Oh, now it's like miniature. Okay, there we go. Now it's not miniature. Okay, first off, if y'all have not subbed to Calico, y'all should go do that. Because she is very good. But she plays very well. So I doubt that I'll have much to say, but that's okay. Secondly, let's see. Gosh, where's my... Oh, there it is. I am not too nice, is the truth, but that's okay. Okay. Alright. Allow us to begin. I will... gosh, I'm sorry team, I'm just a mess today. I'm like looking everywhere for my stuff, from like setting up the texts so that I can see what I'm responding to, and also the sheets, and I'm just everywhere. It's the result of frying my brain with too much practice, I suppose. But anyways, here we go. Ikimasu. Okay, first off, volume okay? Can we all hear this? Now you're eating chicken with rice. Good stuff, man. There's much to look into. Everything works fine. Yeah, thank you. But can we all hear this fine? I hope. Or is it too loud? Too quiet? Yeah, volume is fine. Poggers. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Oh dang, dude! Now that I've got a tablet too, side note, I feel like I need to start doing like this, like reading music type of thing with the tablet while I'm playing. So actually, my teacher told me yesterday or 2 days ago, my high school teacher, because she's taught some students who have gone on to tour and stuff like that, right? And one of them, like Claire Huang Qi, I don't know if you guys listen to her, but she's on Spotify tours and stuff like that. Absolute prodigy. It makes me feel very inferior because she's actually good and I'm not, like made into Juilliard program age of 10 type of deal. So, but anyways, apparently 90% of pianists now have like tablets and they just stick it like on top of the strings like this while playing. And it's like while performing too. And from the audience's vantage point, you can't really see it. And they are able to control the page turns, with like foot pedals and stuff like that. And I thought this was pretty nutty, because it's like, for the longest time, I suppose the history, somebody told me that it goes back to Busoni, who was like, you don't know the music unless you know it by memory. But like now people are going back to reading the sheets because technology enables them to do so discreetly, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting feel, but I suppose that it's somewhat necessary because the conditions that are described are like, sometimes you as a concert pianist, you're playing like one show in like one side of the world, and then like the same day you book it to the other side of the world, to halfway across the globe to play like a concerto with a orchestra because you can, right? And so under those sorts of circumstances where you're going from like like Beethoven's Fifth to like Rock 3 or something like that, I get it, right? You need sheets. It's kind of tough, and that's a massive demand that nobody would have made on you like years ago, since that was impossible. But anyways, side note, feeling better about reading music while I play than I used to be. But here we go. Ooh, I like that. Okay, I feel like I have like a thought on the tip of my tongue, but I don't quite know how to say it. I'm gonna put up my stand. Just to see, the stand obstructs half my vision, but that's okay. At least I can play with a tablet. Oh my gosh, but. I think I would have connected there instead of going 5/5. That was the first, like, that's a technical thing. But I think you did it well enough that, like, I don't really notice you went 5/5 unless I'm, like, looking. Well, the beginning is very, very nice. Like, on this run with the, more fingery and, like, more wrist rolling, right, action. So. Yeah, I like the phrasing on the left hand too, right? Even though this is like literally me just pointing out everything Calico is doing correct, which is what I do for animates, which works, right? But it's still instructive either ways, I suppose. Right, there's a down up lift, which is very nice. Right. Right, from the left hand to phrase, even though the pedal is sustained, it still creates that interesting texture. Page turn. Nice. I think perhaps the one comment that is probably more artistic than anything is that you can maybe be like a little bit more bold with the dynamics in the left hand. So right now there's like a massive gap, between the right and the left, and it starts off it is appropriate, I think, especially when you begin. But throughout the phrase, the left hand can come up a little bit more. Just to, again, like last week, one of the things that I think I talked a lot about, because it's been on my mind a lot, it's like aside from the melody, can we quickly draw attention to within the score, right? And so, like, while, like, this is staying low, right, for now, but all of a sudden, like, it can come up in volume a little bit and still not like encroach on the right hand. And for a brief moment, our ear turns from just, oh, this is the melody and there's a support, to, wait, hold on, there's something else down there, right? And it becomes a little bit more interesting. But that's the only thought, right? Just playing with the levels a little bit. Yeah. All good. Ooh, that was a very nice rubato. This slight pull. Oh, I didn't see this, but let me see again. Did you use? I'm thinking, like, does left pedal sound good on this first part? And then like switching to like tre corde for this. Playing this part. I don't know if you tried that out, but that was just another thought to create a little bit like more. Left pedal is always like a little bit finicky. Sometimes I like it, right? It helps achieve certainly more of a pianissimo, but it also changes the texture, right? It feels a little bit like dampened, and so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But that was just a experimental thought. Yeah. Is really noticeable on the Steinway. Yeah, that's also another thing, right? Some pianos is like a little bit more like, it's a little bit stronger and a little bit weaker on some instruments, right? Use it a lot on the Bosendorfer. Dang, yeah. Well, like how's it feel to move from a Bosendorfer to a Steinway? Actually, that's an interesting question, because I don't think I've played too many Bosendorfers.
Talk about that like in chat. Do people hear me on the stream?
Let's see. Can we hear Calico on the stream? Wait.
Testing.
Yes. Okay. So you show up on the stream. Nice.
Oh, nice. I mean,
Yeah.
It feels awesome, but also very different. Like the Bosendorfer has such a different feel to the keys compared to the Steinway. Like it's a completely different thing. The first time I played on the Steinway, I actually played terribly. Like I played so bad, I barely could play the stuff that I usually play, and I was so embarrassed to play in front of like the people in the shop. It's just but yeah, in general, the instrument's great.
Would you say it's like, is it like the depth of the keys or stuff like that? So wait, hold on. First and foremost, is your Steinway a new Steinway, or is it like a refurbished model?
Yeah, it's a new Steinway. Yeah.
Oh, so the new Steinways all have very, very light keys, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I love that. Like, I really love the like light touch, and the Bosendorfer that I had before already had a really light touch. So
And this was even lighter?
yeah, this was even lighter, like
Oh my gosh.
insanely so. I was completely taken aback. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's great to play.
Dang.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've played like an instrument with like super light, touch, because my Yamaha, the bass is like a little bit heavy. Like even when I played, like, I think my teacher's Steinway, my high school teacher's Steinway, like a few days ago when I played for her, like hers is an old Steinway that's literally traveled the world with her, right, wherever she's went. But like even then, the keys are like a little bit more tactile, a little bit more sticky. Than the new ones. I remember they're just like you can just fly on those. Dang.
Yeah, and it's so much easier to play like runs on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's insane. Like it makes playing easier. It's insane, yeah.
Yeah, but dang, I didn't expect to get another voice call. I feel like people are listening up to voice calls these days. Since last week, I got 2 voice calls as well, and the weeks before I haven't. But do you have your mics like set up above the lid?
No, they're like right under the lid. I'm not sure if I show it in any video, but it's like I watched this video. I think I commented it
Right.
on
Is
one
it
of your
Nare
videos.
Souls?
Who was it? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And I did it exactly as she said. Like I got the idea from her, and
Mm-hmm.
it sounds so much better. Like it has so much space. Just it's balanced. Because a lot of the time when I place the mics like in the back and from the side,
Mm-hmm.
I'd get this imbalance. Like
Right.
one would be just a little bit louder, and it would be kind of a pain to like try and balance it out.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Mm-hmm.
this, I barely have to do anything. It
Dang.
honestly works great for like anything I play.
Yeah. I mean, I've noticed, especially, like, so, like, one of like, when I tried doing that too, you get a much more, I suppose, like, natural sound, right? It almost sounds like you're hearing, like, if I was sitting in front of the piano, that's what it would
Yeah,
sound
yeah,
more
yeah.
like than, placing the mics inside. But, since, I guess the difference between me and you is that since I'm trying to compete with literally everyone else playing Animus Unravel, I need my stereo image to sound as wide as possible. So put the mics on the inside.
Gotcha.
But yeah, dang. All right. Allow us to continue. Yeah, again, I feel like the 5/5s are things that I would generally avoid, but like, I mean, you are lifting. So it does make a little bit more sense. Oh, you can't hear my keyboard. I just remembered. But you can hear it with lag. That's the thing. But anyways. Yeah. Like right here, right? When you're just holding the so I've completely lost the spot in the score, but when you're just holding the D, right? That's a spot when the left hand can come back up a little, right? To fill in some of that space that you're leaving because you're not playing anything else or moving in the melody that the ear can be
Right.
drawn towards. So,
I honestly focus so much on like trying to keep the voicing in the right hand because I used to struggle with that.
mm-hmm.
So I learned that, and then I just obsessively try to keep the melody everywhere. So I think, yeah, it's a good thing that you're mentioning that because I just
Yeah.
didn't think about it.
Well, like I'll say for myself, I sometimes get so like caught up on like these smaller things that like I'll start losing the voicing on top.
Yeah.
It's like when you're playing, right? I'm sure you've felt this way before. When you're just like playing or recording or playing for other people, you can only think about like one thing at a time. Sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. Like you focus so much on the left hand, you like don't hear what the right is playing at all.
Yeah, and at that point you're just like
Voicing
hoping
gone.
that it's right.
Yeah.
So I get it, but. Yeah, see, so that part's like you can hear the boom boom right from the left hand after like as it comes up, but it's almost it's kind of I keep harping on this point because honestly this is the only point to make so far that I would personally like think more about because I think like I probably wouldn't phrase like exactly the same way that you do, right? But it's kind of hard to like explain, and the way that you do it is very nice. And so it's like there are no complaints aside from the left hand. But it's almost like reminiscent, especially since there's a little bit more movement here of like perhaps like Chopin Opus 10 number 12, right, with the up and down movement, except not as intense, right? So that's
I haven't played it, but
yeah. Oh,
gotcha.
that's the revolutionary etude. With the
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So you know how like in the middle it's in the left hand like
Yeah,
up and down.
yeah.
So it's kind of like that. Like when I see the contour of notes like this every single time, I like now that I've played it right last year, I just go straight back to that. I'm like, how do I create that sort of movement? Like even wait, sorry, I was attempting for a moment Animens' Cruel Angel's Thesis, but like the part in the second verse, second pre-chorus where dum bum 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 bum, even with the runs there, like trying to phrase it that way, but yeah. I think so for the parts that have like dum da 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 dum da da dum da 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 like that. When it comes down, or first da 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 dum can be a little like it can be a little bit more dramatic in terms of like the dynamics. So it can go up a little bit more with the hairpins, right, on the measure. So da 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 dum, and then that can create space when you drop down to basically the lower register da da dum to create almost like a not exactly like a two voice dialogue, right? Like if you were doing like right hand left hand, but a bit more like conversational, like internal monologue type of conversation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So. But, oh dang, tempo change. Yeah, I feel like because this is let me check the rest of the score real quick to make sure. It looks like this is the loudest the piece gets, right? With the mezzo
There's one
forte.
more part later on that's
Okay.
a bit
Oh, there is a
louder.
forte. Yeah, I was gonna say if this is the loudest that it gets, or even though there is a second forte coming, it can be a little bit like heavier, right? To create a little bit more of that like contrast between everything else, so that it stands out a little bit more. I think it's a fine balance between like a piece like a calm piece and creating enough drama within the calmness to keep things. I don't want to again. I keep using the word interesting, but I don't necessarily mean that it's not interesting as it is. You know what I mean? It's just like a little bit more spice, right? It's like if you're cooking, instead of just using the salt and pepper, you throw in a little bit of paprika just to see what it would taste like.
Right.
So this is kind of like that, right? Like perhaps the little bit of spice that we can add here is to create a little bit more dynamic contrast, just so that, and even a little bit of weight contrast, so that it stands out more because we're all also in a higher tempo, and it's moving a bit more too. So, but that's just a thought. Isn't it again like I feel like everything I'm saying are just like thoughts and not like fix this.
Yeah, that's the point, I think, though.
Yeah.
They're good thoughts.
Yeah. I don't know what my audience expects from me though. I feel like they want to see me roast people, but I don't like roasting people. Except for simply piano ads, but that's about it. Alright. Yeah, that was a very nice retardando too. Maybe slightly more pull, but I'm gonna listen to that again because I feel like okay. So for a moment, I was like, I feel like it could be a little bit more whimsical. Yet I like how you did the dynamics there. So I'm not quite sure like how that would happen. So let me listen to like that run, the triplet run.
Honestly, I kind of, I remember I panicked there a little bit.
Sorry.
It's alright.
Wait, where am I? Oh, I didn't go back far enough. Sorry. Okay, now I went back too far, but that's okay.
That was
Yeah.
so sloppy. Yeah. That was the part where I was like, dang it. That wasn't.
That's the like brief moment of panic where you're like, wait,
Yeah,
hold on,
yeah,
do I
yeah.
got this or do I not? But it's all good. I think. But yeah, so I personally I think the way you got a little bit heavier, actually, or louder, it felt a little bit more dramatic and it was actually quite nice. But there's just how do it. It's an interesting balance, right? Louder while getting lighter. Like how do you exactly do that except via a
I
lot
have
of
no
interesting.
idea.
Yeah, I think it comes from like perhaps lifting the fingers or playing with more finger so that you get more of the articulation to continue building the dynamic while not necessarily like holding it for as long and connecting it as much, right? So it's like the how do I say? Oh, it's the loud stuff that is held for longer sounds louder than stuff that is held for shorter, and so you can create like an illusion of like it's getting louder or it's not getting necessarily. Now I'm losing my train of thought, but I guess that's how I would sum it up, right? Like play louder with just finger, with higher finger lift as opposed to like the arm stuff, which is what you're doing with the run already. But it's man, words are really hard. so that it gets louder, but the texture feels lighter. There we go. That's what I was
Right,
looking for.
there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
I think now that I've started YouTube, and I've had to, try to explain these things, I've compartmentalized like my musicality into like rhythm and tempo and pulse and then dynamics and then textures, and that's how I like talk about everything now. So.
That's the good. Yeah.
Oops. Yeah, that gliss was so pretty. So I think there I would drop the dynamic earlier than you did, just because you've gone up to that higher register and you've lost the support of the bass, the lower register, and so I feel like that would feel a little bit more natural. Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. So there you drop the dynamic, but I would start from the measure before.
Gotcha.
Yeah, how do I say, the lower part is very nice. I love when scores have this, right? Like there's like multiple lines that you can bring out and multiple melodies.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like the phrasing for each one can be so delicate. Okay, yeah, so right there also, I think you did a nice build with the triplets, the triplet runs. Right. But then you ended up at like the same dynamic as you played it previously. So I think especially since it's like exactly the same, right? It's like the repetition. There should be perhaps at least a little bit of dynamic variation. Maybe
Yeah,
this
honestly,
is yeah. You
I
got
had
it.
so much trouble with that part, like at the end, because it was basically the same thing, like 4 times in a row,
Mhm.
and I couldn't like feel it out. I guess I don't know. I just
Yeah.
had like musical trouble with that bit. I think.
Yeah. Which makes perfect sense. But I think so. The first thing that I would think about is varying dynamics, right? And perhaps this is because I've played too much Bach, right, when I was a kid, and every time there's a repetition in Bach, it's either softer or it's louder, right? It has to change dynamically. Because you would, I'm not exactly sure how the manuals on a harpsichord are, but at least in an organ, you would probably change manuals and it would sound different that way. But the second thing that I would think about is what notes are you playing towards? So this is a concept that I think I really worked on with the first Ballade, right? In the opening with the theme, da 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 dum, right? You can play towards the last note, da 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 dum, right? It's moving towards the last note. You can play towards the first note, da 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 dum, right? You can play towards like the second note, da 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 dum, perhaps not as like exaggeratedly, right? Or like any of the notes in between, like da 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 dum, like that, right? And so you can like almost on the spot, if you've practiced enough, right, when you're performing, you can literally feel out how the audience is responding or how you are feeling in that moment and change the way that you interpret the piece, which is pretty cool. And that was actually one of the things that like completely blew my mind when I first learned it, like when I was working on the Blad, like the first time around. And I think that's something, I'm not exactly sure how that would play out in this. Like maybe the rubato can, or different rubatos can come in at different times to create emphases on different notes. But I think that's the second place that I would think, right? Like beyond just dynamics, which means like I'm playing like the phrasing, or I'm playing to the same with the similar direction on each phrase. How do I change the direction at which I'm playing, right? And I think that might be helpful with repetitive stuff like this. It's yeah. Does that kind of make sense?
It makes sense, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so I think overall, like the general comment about like my general comment about the dynamics overall is that I think it can be a little bit more bold, right? It's perhaps when you're miking from above, you lose some of the more subtleties of the dynamics that come directly from the hammer, at least in my experience, which is why perhaps I'm not hearing it quite as well. But like I think, especially towards the end, I think the ending is a good demonstration of this. Like the first time, da, 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 and then the second time can be da, 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 da. And then, especially since it's now written mezzo forte and you go up another octave, it can be even stronger, right? And the way that we can keep it like still kind of like calm, right, like within the tone of the entire piece, is perhaps changing how flat the fingers are when we're playing. So even though you're increasing in volume, it doesn't necessarily feel like it's getting more forceful, right? If you play with flatter and flatter fingers, especially towards the, and with a little bit of like weight and not just the arm going straight in, but maybe a little bit coming out to dissipate some of that. But that would just be a thought.
Gotcha, yeah. You do lose a little bit because of the miking, but I got a very similar comment live from a teacher as well. So yeah, I probably have something with that. Yeah, I should just do more.
Yeah, it's quite I feel like it's very difficult, right? Especially with these like calmer pieces, because you want to stay calm, but at the same time, the like, how do I say? You want to stay calm, so then that muddies or like blurs the lines of like how big your dynamic ranges are, right? And so I think like kind of like feeling that out a little bit more, or being a little bit more risque with it might be helpful. And just I suppose biting the bullet for the flack that you don't get for being too much sometimes, but I'd rather be too bold than too timid. But that's just me. That's
a good thought, though. Yeah, gotta create the contrast somewhere.
Yeah, like these days I'm always thinking about contrast and like how to make things not necessarily more exciting, right? Because certain pieces don't need that type of excitement, but things for the listener to pay attention to. I think that's the best way to put it. How do you keep creating more things that draw the ear and get someone's attention to go from place to place? And that's also a type of movement in and of itself, right? Like you can move dynamically, you can move with rhythm, or by pushing the pulse, or like by playing at the front of the beat and by pushing a little or pulling a little. You can move with texture, right? You can get longer, shorter, play more tenuto, play more staccato, etc., etc. But also, I think an interesting type of movement is, where does the ear go, right? What things does your mind pick up on when you're listening to like someone play? And so that's something that I've been thinking a lot more about in my own playing too. So I suppose that's why I bring it up a lot.
That's great. It's great insight. I honestly probably don't think enough about how I play. I kind of just do and like go with the flow and see how it goes. So yeah, it's good to like pay attention to the little things, like what to bring out of a score
Yeah.
and that type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's merits to both, right? Sometimes you just want to sit down and just play through. Sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit too nitpicky, but
That's probably good, especially for recording. Like playing for myself, I can just go with the flow, but if I want to record, I should probably think a little bit more.
Yeah. But anyways, thanks for submitting a video, Calico. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's always fun listening to you play, and I'm glad that I found your channel. So,
thank you.
Do you have any questions for me on anything I said?
Ooh, too. No, I think I'm good. If I have any more questions, I'll just hit you up in DMs.
Yeah, the classic.
Yeah.
But all right. So I suppose have a good night, and I will see you in my server, I suppose, or in DMs.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll see you around on the streams or on server.
Yeah. All right, poggers. Again, y'all should go sub to Calico if you haven't already, because she plays very well and makes great content. Anyways, wow, let's give chat. Oh, chat has not been very active. That's nice. Phrasing and dynamics. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. Interesting. But allow me to take a sip because I feel like my throat is kind of dry. All right, are people still hanging? Are people still here? Shrug. I see you. Okay. But yeah, it's always nice to bounce ideas off of people and to hear like different perspectives on playing. Lurk, classic. Because there's so many ideas out there, and your ear can only do so much. Your brain only has so much capacity, and it's always nice to get people to have different perspectives. It's like Calico is a very good pianist in her own right, but there are things that she hears better than me, and things that I hear better than her, which makes this sort of like discussion interesting. But yes. All right. I suppose we will move on to next one. Can someone ping Noelle for me in the server? And if Sayori-chan's still here, I can do yours next, I suppose. But oh wow, new people joining the server. Every time I stream, I get more people join the server, which is pretty dope. Yeah. All right. But you don't mind which one I do first? I will give it a few more moments and see what's going on. With you'll be here for longer. Yeah, you don't sleep. I remember that. But yeah. What was I just about to say? I had a thought. But I forget what it was. Disappointing. Oh, let me turn back on the background music just so that this isn't entirely boring. Yeah, what's sleep? Yeah, what's sleep? Whew. Dang. Yeah. What was I gonna? Gosh, I literally just lost my train of thought. This is very disconcerting. Not only are words hard for me today, but like I suppose everything else is too. Yeah. Anyways, I suppose we can get on to a different topic. Turning off the camera. There we go. Yeah. Oh, dang. I almost forgot that I had a new stream layout with like stuff that goes by on the side. I'm not wearing my merch today. Oh, so actually in my area, like literally this past week, it was like 85 degrees and humid. So 85 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's about. Gosh, I forgot the conversion. Hold on, I'm stupid. Is that like 15 degrees C? Somebody correct me. Like 80 degrees Fahrenheit to like Celsius. Like, is this subtract 32 and then divide by roughly 2? Or was it divide by 2 and then subtract 32? I forget. Yeah, so something like that. Oh, I suppose it's divide first, or subtract first and then divide. Yeah, so it was around like 80 degrees, or like, so 20? I suppose we can also just Google, but who wants to do that? We're supposed to be smart here, right? I'm supposed to know my conversions into Kelvin and Celsius, but I suppose also not. But yeah, so it was around 30 degrees. But today, right, or yesterday, the temperature just dropped to like 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So I suppose that's around like 20 degrees C. And then today it was like down to like 50 to like 40, so like 40 some. Subtract by 32 and divide by 9/5. Wait, hold on. Shouldn't it be? Oh yeah, divide by 9/5. You got me confused there. I was like, what? Multiply by 9/5? Yeah. So subtract by 32. Okay, so it was like 60. So I'm gonna rough maths, like around 15 degrees C. And then today it was like, around 10, which was, kind of weird, right? Like kind of weird. But it's also nice for me because, all this like setup makes my room a veritable heater. And so I get like last week it was like 80 degrees when I was streaming outside, before the sun went down, and I swear by the time I finished, like my room was probably like like a sweltering like 100 like 5 or something. Like, let's see, what is that, like 35 degrees Celsius, 35 to 40 or so, right? Like I walked outside my room, it was noticeably cooler to the point where like I opened the door and there was a breeze that came in. and I got like slight chills. It wasn't that much cooler, or it wasn't like actually cool outside, but it was like that big difference. And so I was like, bruh, like dang, I need to figure something out, or else I'm dying. Like literally every time I record in here, every time I stream. But that's okay. For the content for you guys. You know how it is. But yeah. Anyways, I was thinking about something. Can't wait for summer. Is summer, like one of the things that I realized from watching anime is that I feel like kids in anime in high school and in middle school, their summers are so eventful. Except for Kaguya-sama, when Shirogane, Miyuki, and Kaguya like don't do anything, and except for at the end. But like for the most part, summers seem very exciting, and I'm like, my summers were never that exciting. Like, what happened to my childhood? But I don't know. I'm just messing. What if life is just one big anime? Who knows? But yeah. We don't have the swimsuit episode. We don't have the beach episode, and we don't have the fireworks episode either. You know, with all the girls wearing yukatas. Like, what? In the States, we have 4th of July, so that's our fireworks day. Does everybody? I don't know what you would consider traditional American garments or American dress, but you know, nobody does. Let's see. What's the life? 410? 4 out of 10, not a lot of plot. For at least quarter of the time. John, why you gotta do me like this? I thought we were friends, dude. What's that make your life? No, I'm kidding. America doesn't do festivals. We do 4th of July. That's about it. And Labor Day. It's like home stuff. Anyways. Piano Minions, Grand Escape. Part with the arpeggio. Beyond Your Weak Implements. Yeah, I have, but not in a while. Again, as I've said before, probably once or twice, nothing against Piano Minion, but I don't like listening to his stuff that much because it's just, like, fast. Yeah, 4th of July definitely is not romantic. If you're looking for something romantic, I suppose Valentine's Day is about it. But like, it's not a special, like, holiday, right? And nothing big happens. But yeah, I don't listen to much Piano Minion because I like stuff that has a little bit. I don't want to say a little bit more thought as though he didn't think about it, but it sounds like, you know, I feel like he should compete in Chopin etude competitions that play like the fast ones, you know. But who knows? Maybe he's changed. Maybe he's matured a bit. I don't want to say matured as though that's like, you know, be all, or as though I'm much more thoughtful or mature. But like, you know, it's just the vibe that I get. We're just sitting in a chair, do nothing for 8 hours a day anyways. What the heck? But it's like looking back, you know, like like all the, you know, like some of the, like all the songs that you listen to, or like whatever, or all the shows that you watch, like some of like the ones that you can relate to are always the best, right? That's why I like Your Lie in April so much. I can relate to it. Yeah, I suppose that's true for a lot of other people too. You can relate to characters or whatever. But like sitting around gives you nothing to relate to. Except for, I suppose, the like hikikomori type characters. So I suppose you can be like Subaru and hope that you get isekai one day too. And then find out that your only skill is dying. But no, I'm kidding. That sounded very mean. But it's an interesting life just sitting. Whoever's in the closets. 4th of July. Barbecues are good. Japanese matsuris are so much fun. So this is, since it looks like Noelle is not responding, I'm just gonna go on to Sayuri-chan's soon, just for a reference, but, so since I was hopefully going to visit Japan this summer, but that's not gonna happen, probably, because Japan is still very closed. And my trip was scheduled for like a week or two after the Olympics, and since they're not opening up for the Olympics, they're probably not going to open up for me. So redirecting. But anyways, it was a thought, you know, like going to Japan. I was getting excited, you know, for everything, for the for Akihabara, for seeing the sights, for practicing, you know, my 2 chapters of Genki. Right, hopefully by the time I get there. So not even JPT, what is it? What was it go to, like 4? What's the lowest one? Like 5? I forget. But yeah, that was something that I unfortunately would not be, probably not looking forward to. Oh, Noelle showed up. Poggers. Oh, just woke up. That's okay. We will wait for you, Noelle. Yes, every weeaboo's dream. Yeah, I feel like, but like there's one aspect of like, you know, being a weeb and wanting to go to Japan where it's just like, I'm in weeb territory. But there's another that's like, you know, I feel like, just like with any sort of media, right? The things that you talk about are very culturally relevant. And so, like, not being able to understand a vast majority, or like at least a lot of subtext of the media that I'm consuming and like en masse these days is a little bit like disconcerting. right? Like there's a class at my university called the Religion of Anime, and it's literally talking about like it's a seminar type class that goes over the cultural religious beliefs of Japan and how they work into anime. And I was like, wait, hold on, this is an interesting class. I'm not taking it, right, because it's was it like 3-4 hours or whatever, like 2 or 3 times a week when I'm taking other stuff. So I'm like, I don't think I can sit through a 4-hour-long seminar twice a week on the religion of anime. But you know, interesting thoughts. But if Noel's around, I will give him or her, I'm not sure, a few minutes. Oh, it wasn't bad? Yeah, I've heard like the professor taught like some other class on Japanese culture and anime too, and I heard that it was pretty good as well. So, what's my favorite piece? So I would. Oh, do I have a command for this piece? Exclamation point. No, I'm kidding. But whatchamacallit? In my Q&A video, I answered this question, and I feel like I answered this question every single stream. My favorite piece is Chopin's Ballade in G minor, well, to listen to and to play. Osaka Kansai, a superior food. I have not heard that, so but we will hopefully experience that one day. So I'm looking forward to that. Oh, did I not make the command? Hopefully I did. So I still have to go through and like make a whole bunch of new commands, just for, you know, all the stuff that, all the questions that I get like literally every week now. So anyways, it appears that Noel has joined our voice call. Noel, I will pull up your video soon. If I'm not mistaken, it is sad. I should implement that. But allow me to pull up the sheets for this. Was it? It's Anime Piano Pro's cover or arrangement. So.
Hello.
Hello.
Is the audio good?
Yeah, I can hear you. But I need to turn you up a little bit. One sec.
Okay.
Hi. Black Catcher, Black Clover, OP10 full. Arranged by Anime Pro. There we go. Merge keyboard, reach years major, and only commands. Oh yeah, probably. Tokyo has a lot of variety in food. I'm looking forward to that as well. Dude, the friend I was gonna go with just wanted to go to Japan to look at vending machines, and I was like, brother, there's much more to be had. Oh, vending machines and Wagyu. That's what he wanted to do. So. All right, though. Let us get back to video reviews. Dang, I didn't think I was gonna do 3 today. I thought I was just gonna do 2 because these take time and thought. But all right, let's pause the background music and there we go. Turn this back on. Vending machines are cool, but more expensive than konbini in supermarkets. Dang, interesting. I am also looking forward to going to a konbini, and as abroad in Japan does, getting lots of fried chicken for no reason. But anyways, let's see. I got a question. What was it? What's my progress on Lost Sorrow? It's it is going, like, I can play all the notes, right? But I'm just never happy with how it sounds. So I hear it two ways right now, which isn't great, right? Like, so I hear it faster and drier, and I hear it also slower and like wetter, for lack of a better term, right? Like that, and I'm half pedaling, but it's not coming across because the keyboard can't do it. But yeah, so I'm stuck between two dilemmas because I don't know which one to go with. A few weeks ago, I recorded the one that's like heavier and wetter. But this new interpretation just recently, like yesterday, I sat down and played it for the first time in 2 weeks, or like tried to play it through for the first time in 2 weeks, and I played it faster and drier, and I was like, whoa, this is super cool. I don't know, like I tried to hear it like that before, but I just couldn't. And then yesterday I did, and now I don't know what to do. So, anyways, that is I suppose something that I'll figure out, and maybe it'll be like a continued work in progress. I just don't feel comfortable enough with the interpretation. I'm just generally not comfortable with Russian music. Right, like I've never been comfortable with Shostakovich. I've never been comfortable with Prokofiev. Right, they've always taken so much work for me because I just can't wrap my head around it the way that I need to. Even though it's like like rock, very strong derivative of Chopin, right, like stuff like that. It's like I just can't. I don't know why, but anyways, yeah. I have listened to the recording of rock. Have I tried mixing the two styles? I mean, considering how just yesterday I just sat down and started playing it again. No, I've not worked through it again yet, but I will be soon. For hopefully that stream that's coming up after we hit 10k subs, where people want me to play stuff, because that was one of the things on the list, and maybe I'll re-record then and see how it sounds. But yeah, I will be doing much more more deep thinking on the subject and much more experimentation. Because I don't know, it'll be interesting. Can I play wrong note? So I'm currently avoiding that etude because I recorded it 2 weeks ago and I put too much work into it. And it's too short of a period of time without working up to it. Since I finished finals and I was like time to memorize and work on that. And so what ended up happening, because it's big, right? Like I started feeling it on this side of my hand. Right, like not like sore or tired, but like tingly, which is nerve. So I literally had to stop playing for a week until I recovered. Especially because I was trying to record it in tempo several times in a row because my hands were denigrating. But that also influenced the Love Sorrow recording too, right? Because I recorded that the same day after, and the day after I still couldn't get it. Like there were some things that my hands just couldn't do. So if you're in my Discord, in one of the channels. The reason why I posted a video of a picture of my hand like wrapped in a towel that's dipped in ice water was because I was icing my wrist from playing. Sorry. Like, I feel like this is something that I would be willing to play a lot live, but not, like, grind and practice for, like, recording. Was it my left or right hand? It was, strangely enough, a little bit of both, but definitely worse in my right hand because it was, like, the 2/4 stretch aggravated it a lot. Like, it's funny because, like, when practicing, it never comes up. Or when practicing sparsely, but it was literally because, again, this was, bad call on my part. This is, a very natural thing that happens when you practice too much without building up to it. But, because it's big on the hand, right? I had to ice myself because they're too hot. but it's naturally big on the hand, and so jumping into it for like several hours even, right? Like at the like all of a sudden, right, going from like maybe like 5-10 minutes of practice working on a day just for maintenance to like now I'm grinding it over and over again, for like hour and a half just to get the memory. It like for a week, right, was not great. So B section, yeah. So everything is. I'm like sitting at an angle. But anyways, yeah, it's like that. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, so that's why even listening to the recording, because I memorized it so soon before I recorded, the interpretation had not set in yet. So it sounds very confused. It sounds very confused. And it sounds incomplete, like technically not there because my hand. And so, but since I value the authenticity of my channel a lot, I'm still gonna put that out because people want to hear it, and I think that if you think I'm a worse pianist for it, then so be it. You can unsubscribe and I don't care. But anyways, enough dallying. I will now get to your video, Noel. Thanks for hanging there with me. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right. Am I expecting just text or voice chat as well?
I think I'll be.
Voice? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Stream volume is okay. With Noel's voice, I hope. It looks like your levels are coming up okay. So we will continue, and if somebody has a complaint, they will file it with the complaints department. HR will handle our issues. So, yep, voice is fine. Thank you, John.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. All right, this is Anime Piano Pros arrangement, correct?
Yep.
All right, pause. I have not seen Black Clover, so I don't know what the original sounds like. So I won't be able to reference things from the original. But this looks like a good video anyways. So if you guys have not checked out Noel's stuff, it's new to the piano, right? Relatively new to playing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I should go show him some love, right? We always want to be supportive of people who are up and coming and give good constructive criticism and also show lots of support. So anyways, allow us to begin. Back up a little bit just because I was making sure the volume's fine. Everyone, Mina, volume's okay. Someone dropped the Discord link, mods. I'm just going to assume that the audio is fine. Let me move my OBS to this screen so that I can see the... I don't have... Oh shoot, I should have a Discord command. Yeah, you're right. Mods! Anyways. Let me continue. All right, let's back it up. So first off, it feels like you can take a little bit more time. Okay, like breathe a little bit more before you start, and like just calm down a little bit. I think because it sounds a little bit hurried, right? Maybe you are feeling calm, but it feels a little bit hurried. And it is better to feel comfortable, or for something to sound comfortable, than to play it in tempo and feel rushed. You know what I mean? It just feels that much more confident. So. That's the first thing. Yeah, so you can't hear the piano, but you can hear it with lag. Beautiful on the stream. Do you have a pedal? Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm just wondering. So one thing that you can do to help with the rolls in the left hand, it's something that you're already kind of doing, is to, so I don't know if you can see my hand on the camera, but I will move it up to here. Oh, wait, the overhead camera. Dang, the overhead camera, too good. I totally forgot. but I have my hand positioned in such a way that it's over all the keys that I'm trying to play already, right? So your hand has collapsed slightly like this, right? So if we're looking at the main camera real quick, your hand is kind of like this, kind of flat, right? And because it's flat like this, which generally isn't good, your fingers end up splayed in different places, right? They're not on the same like line per se, right? But if I have a little bit of arch on my hand, then my hand comes. I can place my hand over all the keys that I'm trying to play at the same time, right? So if I'm looking at your hand right here, right, again, you can see how your thumb is like off the key, and it's like kind of hard to put all the fingers over the keys that you're trying to play at the same time. But like when I curl my hand a little, I can put all my fingers over the keys that I'm trying to play at the same time. And then that makes this sort of wrist motion, like this, a lot more natural and a lot smoother, right? The side-to-side wrist motion that you're already doing becomes a lot smoother and feels better and sounds better because you're not coming from out here and then having to land like this, right? And then that also makes phrasing easier because we can then put a little bit more emphasis on the bottom note as opposed to playing all the notes the same because they're all traveling the same distance to get to where the keys are. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I get it.
Yep. Okay, cool. And then with these thirds, you can lift the fingers a little bit more just so that you can have a little bit more control over the dynamics of sorry. Yeah, so 5, 5, 1, 2 makes sense there too. So, yeah. Opening thoughts, I suppose. Swing. Okay, hold on, I need to listen to this again. I'm like both trying to wash your hands and look at the score, so I'm like completely lost, but that's okay. Yeah, so, okay, I'm gonna go back and just wash your hands for a moment. Yeah, so like for these, for this part here, like, right, the blump, 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 right, a little bit stronger wrist rotation than what you're doing here. Because you're just like raising your fingers like this, right? Like up and down like this. But you, in order to get a little bit more emphasis on this D and F sharp. Is it D and F sharp? Yeah, okay. D and F sharp. If you rotate your wrist, so like turning a doorknob like this, you get a little bit more emphasis and a little bit more articulation, and that brings out that phrasing. Same thing can be said about the left hand with some of the notes, right? Like with the up and downs, right? A little bit of rotation can help accentuate some of the notes, more important ones. So it looks like you're trying to play a lot of staccato, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things that we can try is plucking a little bit from the key, right? So my finger literally claws slightly as though I'm pitsing strings. Like if I were playing like fingerstyle guitar like this, or like guitar, instead of just strumming, I'd be plucking the strings like this, right? That's kind of the motion that we're going for. There's a... Right, and so it necessitates like certain, maybe a slightly different fingering, right? If you're gonna play it, you know, like different, the same key multiple times, but it gives you a more accurate texture, right? It gives you a shorter note with a little bit more articulation. Of course, the way you're doing it, which is just short, works too from the wrist. But again, your hand is lacking a little bit of structure, at least for my taste, because it looks a little bit flat. And I think pitsing is at least a little bit more foundational than more of a foundational way of playing staccato than with the rapid lift, right? I think more people start, or I shouldn't say more people, but more people should start with the pitsing staccato as opposed to the lifting staccato. Yeah. Does that kind of make sense? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm also like glancing at chat, but yeah. Yeah, so some comments there. I'm completely lost. But, oh, we're here. Wait, are we? Oh, yeah, we were much further ahead than I thought. So allow me to back up a little bit first, just so that I can follow along. Whoa, I backed up too far. Yeah. Okay, so real quick for this too, it's very imperative for the left hand to be short and punchy, right? And so this plucking staccato helps with that, right? Again, so you weren't here when I was talking to Calico about this, but we're thinking about things that we draw the ear to really quickly, right? Right, like, sorry, I'm playing stuff that you can't hear, but you're playing the melody line on top, very, very, you know, da 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 da, whatever, right? But the left hand is providing a lot of the percussive element and a lot of the textural element too that complements the right hand's texture. And so the way we bring that out to get the listener to real quick like notice what the left hand is doing is by making it punchy, but also keeping it short so that it doesn't overwhelm the right hand, right? So again, we think a lot about voicing in terms of like 2 layers, right? Like keep the top voice like up here and the bottom voice like down here, right? But it's okay to bring that bottom voice sometimes up and then bring it back down, right? And when this bottom voice comes off its bass line and comes up, it's a change, it's a contrast that the listener will pick up on, right? Because it's different. When we listen to stuff, our brains are always looking for what's familiar, but our brains also react to what is different. And you want to balance and blend what is familiar with what is different. And yeah, it's a very interesting topic, right? Especially for composers and arrangers, or like modern day producers. Like, how do you turn a 4-bar loop into something that's both predictable but also different enough and has enough contrasting elements that the listener stays engaged and always has things to find interesting, right? And this is a similar sort of mindset that we're taking into playing like this. So with a stronger plucking motion from the left hand, you can be a little bit more articulate on certain parts to bring that out more, right? To draw the ear, to draw the listener's mind, to then create like more movement, right? From both hands. And again, this is all banking on doing this plucking motion. Yeah, same comment about like the hand positioning, right? So that you can roll a little bit more comfortably, right? If you have a little bit more arch, this wrist movement here. Yeah, and I think the part before the chorus, right? Like, with all the, so I don't know if you learned this with sheets or learned this with Synthesia, but on the sheets, right, it's like, you know, held half notes and stuff. It can be drawn together a little bit more, right? With a little bit more arm weight, like this, almost like a circular sort of motion with a little bit of wrist, and an attempt to connect, like reaching for each note and like almost sliding the hand along the keys. Because this is a sharp contrast from the, right, the section before with all the staccatos. Now we're drawing it together legato, which is what you're already doing, but it would be nice to have it a little bit smoother and a little bit more connected so that each note isn't a discrete point. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. Somehow I tried to make it more the left hand.
Yeah, on
Make
the
it
left hand?
more-
Okay, let me take a look at what you're doing with your left hand then. So actually, what I'm gonna say is that I think because the chorus, right, is very big, right, very expansive, right, like, sorry, I'm playing for stream, but, right, right? And everything, like, there's a lot more pedal, is a lot more glued together in that sense. What's interesting about the pre-chorus here, or the section that we're going into, is only the right hand is written that way. Only the right hand is written with, like, in such a way that you can, like, feasibly connect all the notes, right? There's still, like, all those rests in the left hand. So what does that indicate to me? It indicates that we're experiencing a textural change, but not a complete textural change, right? We're saving some of that for the chorus. So for the left hand, I think you can still maintain some of that bounciness. Obviously, once you get to the quarters, connected quarters, maybe a little bit more connected, but you can still maintain a bit of that bouncy feel. So I don't think you should worry too much about connecting the left hand here, and focus more on connecting the right hand. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So then, it's, again, right, music, give and take. How much am I going to let out of the bag now, and how much am I going to keep, like, in reserve until, like, you know, the time comes? So, for example, right here, it wouldn't make sense to come out with your loudest forte, right, or fortissimo, because you have to save that for the chorus, right? Same thing can go for textures. Am I gonna let all my legato section out here, or I'm gonna keep some of that for the chorus, right? Or the expansiveness of, like, everything being connected. Am I gonna do all that now, or am I gonna save some for the chorus, right? And this is where you get to decide as the performer, right? And I can certainly give my opinion, which I have done. But I suppose also the fun part of doing music is that there's so many different ways to do it, and this is entirely up to you. It just has to sound convincing, right? It has to sound good, and intentional. I think that's a very important aspect. Like, if it doesn't sound intentional, then it doesn't sound good. So. Yeah, so right there, you could have pulled the tempo a little bit, like, dun, 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 right? And then, like, breathe, right? So breathing is a very important part of playing piano. It helps us, you know, set ourselves and feel the pulse, right? One of the things that I'm going to be talking a lot about in my upcoming videos on how to play with rhythm, part of my musicality series, is feeling the pulse, right? Yeah, dun, 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 or dun, so the left hand, dun, 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 dun. Right, I'm going slow, right, for the sake of demonstration, but you want to feel those two beats that come after, right? It has to, like, almost, like, either be counted out in your mind, like, subconsciously, or, like, in your chest almost, right? And if you can't feel it, then counting helps, but also a way that helps a lot, and you'll actually, I think you can see, like, a lot of piano students too, is taking a breath, right, on the upbeat. Like, a sharp breath helps with there's my singing again, but, like, anyways, it's kind of like that, right? So take a breath, and it'll help you set up for going into the next section. So that's perhaps, I don't even want to say that's, like, higher order or, like, more advanced, because it just feels so necessary. So I would strongly suggest, like, for rests and feeling, like, upbeats, if you can't feel the upbeats well, taking a breath, right? It's almost like an apostrophe, like a quick breath in the middle of in the sentence, like a comma right in the middle of a sentence. Like that's the sort of breath that you want to feel for these things. Does that kind of make sense? It's a little bit abstract, so please ask questions if you don't get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I somehow get it. So it's like similar to when you're dictating a speech. So
Exactly. So again, like, I've suggested this a lot on this channel, but, like, if you work through a piece while singing or humming it, right? So, I'm getting the key. I don't know how it goes, so I'm just gonna sing You would take a deep breath there, right, to get enough oxygen for the chorus before you sing right? So likewise, you want to take a short breath there, or perhaps even a deep breath, to help practice when you're playing the piano. Does that make sense? Because you are trying to, in a sense, replicate that singing on the keyboard. And the melody has to feel, like, continuous, like a sentence. And this is, I feel like anime OPs is, like, easier, or at piano arrangements is easier to feel that too. Because you have an original recording to compare it to. You have a version of the song where there is a singer taking a breath, right? Feeling that beat, right? And if you were to sing along with the song karaoke, or even hum along if you don't know the language, right? That's what you would do. So I would suggest, like, for, you know, future reference, like when you're working on stuff like this, perhaps humming along and seeing where you would breathe, and then trying to breathe there when you're playing as well. So, yes. All right, allow me to continue. rolling sounds fine. Good jumps. Let me watch your hands a little bit more closely this time. Yeah, so it looks like your left hand, and I mentioned this earlier, but it's really like showing itself here. I think this is hindering you from playing the way that you want to. It's just collapsing. It's literally just collapsing that's causing you to be unable to like roll and play this left hand part as cleanly as you wanted to, right? It sounds a little bit like cluttered right now. That's because your hand isn't in a proper position to be able to play them cleanly, right? So again, this is something that I talked about in my 3 beginner mistakes video. So if a mod wants to throw the link down in the description, or no, not the description, in the chat or whatever, but it's literally maintaining this hand arch, right? I don't care if you want to talk about playing with flat fingers, and this is for the chat. I don't care if you want to talk about how Animus plays with flat fingers or how Horowitz plays with flat fingers. You can watch both their hands, and they both at least maintain this slight arch here, right? And that's something that you're losing here because your hand is flattening out. So I would definitely put some time and effort into fixing that with some like neutral hand position exercises, just to get the feeling for this arch, because it is literally preventing you from playing this as cleanly as you want to, which is very disappointing because you have the right ideas. But I also liked how when you jump, right? Sorry, I'm trying to sing just so that I can not have to just play it through my through the stream so that you can track with me. But boom, jump down, right? I like how when you jump down, these notes are like lower, right? So that we stay on the melody which is voiced on top. But yeah, and I think I'll just keep it to that for now. Yeah, same thing about wrist rolls here, right? Yeah, and at the end, when you're at the end, boom, right. You can dig a little bit more into the keys with a bit of a wrist motion. It's the same staccato motion, so you can. I think I talked about this very briefly in my review of Animus's Gurenge, how he like claws some of the keys to create like that lift and the staccato. That's kind of how you want it to end, so that it gives it a little bit more punch, right? Than just what you did which was just a quick lift off, and so it kind of like waffled the ending a little, right? But that's just a thought for future consideration. I think the other biggest thing I would say about this chorus is when you're really going to start working on octaves, right, in the future, or if you're going to work on octaves for the next thing that you're playing, or big chords, look into learning how to connect, right, octaves with going 1-5, 1-4, and then 1-5 again, or 1-5, 1-4, 1-3 type of stuff if your hand can reach it, right? Because connecting these octaves, connecting these big chords is what enables you to phrase better, right? So the way you played it right now was 1-5, 1-5, 1-5 for everything. So it sounded like bum 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 ba da dum, right? Instead of perhaps having more of a line da da dum da 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 dum, right? Unless you want it super bouncy. But even then, if you want it bouncy, like using this sort of fingering enables you to have a little bit more control over that too. Right, so it's not just da 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 ba 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 bum, right? You would want it da da like da 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 like that. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, somehow.
Yeah, somehow. Yeah, dude, just feel free to ask questions if you don't get anything, right? I understand that the way that I talk or explain things is kind of weird, so
It's all right.
But yeah, I think that's about all I have for this now. Simply because I think there's a lot, like even what I've given, what I've talked about so far, there's a lot to think about, right, and to practice and to work on for the next piece that you're playing. There's certainly, definitely many more musical things, but like I think like thinking about like what does the ear want to hear, right? So musicality. Right, this is, I suppose, the next thing or a thing to learn to consider, to begin considering for everything that you play. What do I want my audience to hear, right? and how do I like create something that is consistent, right? That sounds good with the melody, but also like different with the way that I phrase or with the left hand or with how I do the dynamics and stuff like that. So that's the first thing. And technically, for a technical aspect, I fixed the. It's a little bit better in the right hand, but like definitely fixed both the lack of arch in both hands, because it is literally hindering your progress from playing better. Yeah, for starting off, everything looks relatively fine. I'm not watching your fingers too closely, so I don't know if they're collapsing or not. But I suppose if someone in chat wants to bring that up, they can. But yeah, so it's basically just those two things. But I think those are a lot of things to work on. Simply because one of them is asking you to train your ear, and the other is fixing a bad habit that's hopefully not too deeply ingrained, right? Which will take some effort. But do you have any other questions for me on anything I said or about anything piano related or within this score here?
Perhaps the plucking part. I really don't get how you pluck
Okay,
exactly the keys.
I almost forgot that I talked about that very briefly. So, all right. Let's see. Do I have a? I'm looking around to see if I have a rubber band. This is literally how I learned it. Shoot, I don't. I should have been a little bit more prepared. But okay. Imagine, right. Darn it! Darn it! Sorry. I won't have as tactile of an explanation as I should. But imagine that I'm holding a rubber band like this, right, between my fingers, like here. And the way that I would, have you ever done like in America we call it bee stings, right? Where you pull the rubber band and you put it up to like someone's leg or something, or like arm. You pull the front part back and then you let it go, and it like kind of just like shoots forward and like hits them. And it's like a total jerk move that you do as a kid, but like, everyone thinks it's funny and everyone runs around and does that, right? So is this pulling motion, right? Where you shorten it and your finger just goes like this, right? You get the really fast bee sting. That's the plucking motion that we're going for, right? So it's like snatching at the string, at the rubber band, like really, really quickly, like this, right? And so if you were playing pizzicato on a violin, you would hold the violin like this, put your thumb, or this is the first pizzicato that they teach on violin without holding the bow. But like you would put the thumb on the fingerboard, and you would literally pluck the string like this, right? So I will change the angle, right? Is that same snatching motion for pitzing the strings, and of course when you're holding the bow is still the same pitzing motion. You're just doing it more with the arm, and with the left hand pits, like it's still the same, right? This plucking from the string, and so that's the plucking staccato that I'm talking about. It's literally I'm going up to the keyboard, right, and plucking the key like that, like as though the key were a string. And the first way when I first learned it is literally you have to sit down at the keyboard, neutral hand position, and just do this until you feel the pits, right, and you get the really short attack and the sharp attack and the short note, right. And I'm literally, my hand is in a neutral position, and it comes up slightly to help with the pits, but like that's about it, right? I'm literally plucking each and every single key. Oh, my camera turned off. Sorry, because it died. But I will demonstrate one more time with the top camera on. One sec. There it is. Hopefully, yes. All right. So neutral hand position. Pluck from the key. Like this. It's that exact same plucking motion, right, for everything. Does that make a little bit more sense?
Yeah.
So, and then when you combine it, right, it becomes like this. And of course you add a little bit more arm, right, to help compensate for some of these things. Right. But that's where the basis of the motion comes from. So all right. Any other questions?
So that's pretty much all.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. But thank you so much for submitting a video. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you also for the advices. I will keep them in mind.
Yeah, no problem.
I just started.
Yeah, I mean, is all like again for just starting off, the most important thing, fix your hand, right? Fix this collapse. Because if you don't, now it will become a deep habit later. It will be much harder to fix. And you're going to run up against a wall where you can't compensate any longer. And you're going to wonder why you can't play better, right? And then when you realize it's this and you have to fix it, it's going to be a huge headache. And it might kill your motivation. So fix it now. If you don't get anything else from this, fix your hand position here. Watch my video, I suppose. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. But thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the video. Everybody go show some support. Bro, am I not subbed? What the heck? And I didn't like the video either. I suck. But that's okay. I'm exposing myself. But it's fine. Yeah. All right. I'll see you around, dude.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. All right. Whew. All right, quick break. Back to this and music. Poggers. Oh yeah. Dang. All right. Whoa. There's a lot more comments. Let's see. I will scroll through and read some. Yeah, I don't think I've given mods the access to my stream elements. Maybe I should. I think I definitely should. But I'll figure that out like later. Like I was working on stream stuff 2 weeks ago, which was when I made all the overlays and stuff, and now I'm focusing on other things because I have a lot of projects coming up. Or a lot of things coming up that require me to not be at home, and I can't edit on my laptop because it's too slow. So I have to like literally crank videos out for these next few days. Developing hand independence. Play lots of Bach inventions. Chillify. You're new here. Is it alright if you ask a couple of questions? You can ask as many questions as you want, and I will answer some. I suppose. Yeah. Shortcuts. Lots of practice. Yeah. Hand independence too slow. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, that's why Winter's a mod. He knows what's up. Sure talks about feeling the pulse a lot. Feeling the pulse is so important. So if you don't feel the pulse, you can't manipulate the tempo. And I find that it's when you don't feel the pulse that's when you rush or drag. So Two-set and WattKeys video collab. That would be pretty dope. That would be pretty funny. Distant Dream. Yeah. I mean, they have random people show up, right? For their like blind dating or speed dating videos too. Maybe I should sign up and fly out to Australia. I'm messing. Make my channel grow exponentially. The thing is, I feel like Two-set's channel is like all memes. Not all memes, right? But also like some legitimate reviews and some legitimate discussion. But like mine is, straddles the fence between like reviews, memes, and genuine teaching a lot more. So I don't know how good our content would mesh, but it would be nice. Yeah. Russian school used to teach that flat-handed playing, if I'm not wrong. I believe Russian school. So okay. Old Russian school, right? I think based on what I've heard and what I've read, a little bit. I don't read too much, right? But it's generally accepted that that's not the best way to play because it creates a lot of strain on fingers and a lot of tendonitis, right? So if you the old Russian school, like very strong independence, finger independence, a lot of like almost like hammering on the keys, lots and lots of hand to practice that, and like those sorts of technical exercises, it creates a lot of injury for people, and like most people these days will say. Especially people who pay a lot of attention to like the sort of like whatever like more like safer technical playing would say natural hand arch, very important, right? And natural utilization of the arm and the body, very important, not just pure isolation of the fingers. The fingers need to be independent enough to know how to move and be strong enough to be able to strike the keys dexterously without too much assistance. But at the end of the day, it's still a whole body sort of endeavor, right, to play the piano, and it's not just fingers. So, but that's just what I know, and I don't know too much. But yeah, hello, and people are here. Hello, Ladenza Tube. First time? Yeah, thanks. Hopefully we reach 10K soon. But thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. Yeah, wow. Are people still around? Whoa, there's still like 20 some people. I feel like when I stream later, like there's less people after I've been streaming for 2 hours. Like they all just dip. Other day you were told that you are rushing to CD F sharp B flat A G arcs, the moderato section in Chopin G minor ballad. How do you listen for this while managing rubato for it? $20, 10K in 3 days. All right, interesting. Let me see. Okay, so typically what I would say is rushing means that you are getting too far ahead of the pulse, right? So I think what makes a rubato, like a pushing forward rubato, sound like rushing is when it's unconvincing, right? It's unconvincing because you don't feel the pulse, right? So when I sing, da 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 dum, right? So first, if I were to play it straight, da 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 dum, right? Da 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 dum, the pulse is there. But then if I were to add like a pulling rubato, da 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 dum, right? You feel the pulse drag, like da 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 dum, like that. If you want to push, da 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 dum, right? You feel the pulse lean forward and get a little bit faster. If you don't feel the pulse moving that way, then it sounds like rushing. And I think that's the key differentiator, I think. And the way that you can practice this is by first playing it straight, da 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 dum, right? Da dum, da 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 dum, right? And then start pushing a little. Da 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 dum. Do you feel that? Like, does it jerk forward? Right? If it jerks forward, like da 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 dum, right? Then that's rushing. Or is it like a smooth contour forward, right? Da 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 dum, right? A little bit like da da dum, da 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 dum, da dum, like that. So. Sorry, I'll pause this real quick to make my point. So, ooh, everybody disappeared. Okay, we're back. So I'm exaggerating a little, also because I haven't worked on this in a while. Oh shoot, I skipped. But it's kind of like that, right? So I've already played it straight. Sometimes you do want to mix in the straight, right? I also think about like which note I'm playing towards. Oh, I skipped again. I'm not paying attention, but like, you know, think about which note you're playing towards, right? So if I'm playing towards the first note, and this is what I said to Calico, like if I'm playing towards the first note, right, I put emphasis on the. Now I'm playing towards the last. Really. Right, the whole phrase pushes towards that. Now I'm playing towards the B flat. So the phrase pushes towards the B flat and like peaks in tension there. I literally forget. I can't. There we go. Maybe it sounds like rushing if I push, but the push tempo doesn't persist. G, D, C. Yeah, you have to, so long as you pull it back, right? But it has to, again, feel intentional, and you have to feel the pulse move forward. And when you fail to feel the pulse move forward, that's when it feels unintentional, and it feels like rushing. How do you decide which note to play towards? Is there a pattern and consistent logic to it, or is it mostly feel? It's, so the way that it was explained to me, and the way that I still do it today, is you practice doing each of them. And then when you're on stage, when you're playing it, performing it, it's feel. It's like literally, so I have like one or two planned, right? Like I think, it depends how how I'm feeling when I'm working on it. But I'll choose like at least one of them to play straight, right? But then the other ones are all like literally how do I feel right now? How do I want to play this? And this is I think you can plan them out, right? And you can like work it out and have like a general overarching thing. And I do that, right? But this I think is part of the beauty of, you know, being able to knowing a piece well enough that when you go up and perform it, and when you play for others, you can be spontaneous with the interpretation. And so that's how I've always done it, and how I've always thought about it. Certainly not how other people think about it. Some people stick with one interpretation and keep doing that over and over again and drill it until it's perfect. But I think you can also achieve very unique perfection with this way. But again, that's just how I do it. Picking which note to play towards is like entirely how I feel. Perhaps I'm a little bit more consistent with it than I think, right? Perhaps I think that I'm being spontaneous, but I'm a creature of habit like all humans and do the same thing every time. But that's what I like to fool myself into thinking. So, anyways. Music. Yeah. Yes. Stumbled about a channel because of Unravel or something about Simply Piano. Yo, thanks for... I suppose those videos are doing their job. Then, yeah. A lot of people, I suppose, find my channel through the Unravel thing simply because it has so many views and it's something people like. Oh, I'm very good at piano. Thank you. I think I'm half decent. It was interesting still to me because I think there's like so many levels of like being good, and it's like there's always just so much to learn. Learning how to perform again, right? That was something that I've never felt like I'm the greatest at, like with memory and stuff like that. Learning how to listen critically, right? I feel like that's a skill that I've developed more recently than anything. Like, not that I've had like too bad of an ear since I grew up around it, and so I know what typically should sound good. But like developing that critical ear for myself so that I can choose what I want to do from what other people are doing and what I hear. That's something new and always improving upon, and like technically too, right? Like there are a lot of things that I still feel like I'm very like meh, but yeah. Hopefully my thoughts outstrip my actual idea, my actual technicality, and you get more out of it than just my meh playing or okay playing, I suppose. But you get interesting ideas from what I play too. So, anyways, I'm beginning to use Simply Piano too. I'm self-taught. Yeah, the field is incredibly wide. Yeah, yo, good luck with your son. Again, Simply Piano, the biggest criticism is it doesn't teach posture well enough. So I would, if he's still on Simply Piano, I would encourage you to, watch some videos on YouTube or whatever, or perhaps whenever I put out a posture video, watch my video. Shameless plug, right? But it's like, if you're going to continue with Simply Piano, I still can't talk flack about the app because I've never used it or never met someone who used it extensively. So I can only talk crap about the ads because the ads are actually kind of like what happened. But like, if you're going to persist, at the very least, you got to check up on that posture because you don't want it to become a hindrance later. Playing for 5 to 6 years, recently trying to prepare for RCM grade 8. I don't know what RCM is. I'm not super familiar with like every like grading system. I'm slightly familiar with AVRSM, but good luck, dude. Hopefully you get you get there. It's always good to strive for a goal. But yeah, away from advertising. You know him. Your son was also chosen for advertising. Dang, yo, let's go. Get that Simply Piano clout. That's where it's at. But man, I feel like I've been talking so much that my throat is getting dry. But yeah. All right. I am. Let's see. Siri Keys. I keep saying Siri Keys because his name is Siri Keys in my server. But I will get to yours shortly. I couldn't find sheets because I think you wrote this arrangement and you didn't include sheets in YouTube, which is fine. So let's see. I mean, sheets aren't imperative. It's just a little bit helpful, but yes. Is Watt streaming, and that's why people are joining. People always join when I'm streaming. Yeah, but honestly, to everyone who just joined my server, who's still in the stream, welcome. I really appreciate having you here. Any thoughts about piano? Just see it as a start big motivation. At the beginning, you stop. Sure. And there's just, yeah. I am like I'm. Again, I'll abstain from passing judgment on the app itself. Aside from the fact that, like, if the people who are in the advertisement, so of course I've reviewed more, I recorded more than just, you know, the video I put out because I batch my recordings, so I watch many more ads. But if all the people in every advertisement that I watch learned purely from Simply Piano, at the rate that they're going, again, biggest complaint is they don't teach enough posture. Or if they claim to be doing what they're doing. Right, or only using Simply Piano, or have been learning for 4 or 5 months, right? It's like you got, at some point, man, like the first lesson, you're talking about posture. Sure, it's very important to get the student to be able to play something, even if it's just, right? Then, even if it's just learning that, but like, again, sorry, super important to get the student to play something, right? Because that helps a lot with motivation. Because you feel like you've accomplished something. It's not good to just start with just technical exercises, right? But that's also why there's like, you know, easy beginner repertoire. But you know, learning posture is so important because like it is literally what handicaps so many people. At least so many like self-taught pianists that I see on YouTube are handicapped from progressing because they have bad posture, bad hand positioning, bad wrist movement, right? Like all these things like keep you from playing better. Even if someday you're able to compensate and play the notes with all that, right? You'll find it very difficult, if not near impossible, to play with the musicality that's required. So that I didn't mean to like all of a sudden be like Simply Piano, right? But it's just like a strong warning, literally for everyone who's starting out now, because I know a lot of people watch my channel who are just new to piano, or they've been recently inspired by Animens and Ravel, or whatever, right? Or maybe perhaps if I may be so arrogant to think that I have played some role in inspiring you to play piano, but like that I think is very critical and very crucial, and I want to hammer that home. So, anyways, RCM grade 8 is only about, you know, grades maybe your RSM 67. Oh, okay, makes sense. No, you don't suck. You're just everyone's guys. I don't want to hear like I think it's one thing to like be sober-minded about how like evaluating your own play, right? For me to say I'm not, I think that in the grand scheme of like pianists, there are so many people that have so much for me to learn from. Like, you know, like you can look at any of the YouTube classical pianists. Like I talk about Anik Gottler, or I don't know how to pronounce her name, but WattKeys, Katine, Tiffany Poon. Like those are 3, I suppose, the big classical pianists on YouTube that I watch. There's so much to learn from them, right? But also at the same time, I recognize that I have my own interesting ideas too, right? So I don't want to hear any of this, like, you know, like even jokingly too much. I suppose we all say we suck, and I say I suck too. But like, you know, you don't suck. You're working as ABRSM 67, and playing the piano is a marathon, not a race. And so slow and steady wins the race, right? It's a lifetime endeavor. It's not just, you know, one single moment. Anyways. Pinky doesn't collapse, but it feels like it has no structure. I think you have, it's a matter of sitting down for some of these things and just like holding the note like this, and even using your other hand to guide it along so that you recognize what it's supposed to feel like correctly. Because it's this recognition of what it feels like correctly that then enables you to take that into exercises later, right? It's like if you can't get this right in the most basic sense, then you're going to be completely unable to do that once it gets more complicated, right? That's the whole point of like doing these sorts of exercises, right? It just gets a little bit more complicated, or complicated in different ways, right? Right? But you're doing the same thing over and over again. You're playing with the same like hand patterns and same finger lift. And if you can't get the first one right, then you will be unable to take that into the next one. So be patient. Be patient with yourself, right? Spend a lot of time on this, or spend more time on this. As much brain power as you can have. Right, and feeling this and holding this, getting it right, and then like, okay, once you have the feeling, then go back to just playing like this and feel that until it feels correct as well, and then start moving into exercises or like easy pieces. You play based off some sheets. All right, I'll take a look once we're ready to start. Goodbye, Claudio. I suppose you've already left, but yes, thanks for stopping by. Boy's real and still plays. Not bad. Oh, that's good. That's good. At least the motivation isn't murdered, right, by poor teaching. Or I suppose the teaching is good enough to keep him going. Mainly go video gaming. Yeah. Your points. You're self-taught. Bad habits, clean them out. Yeah, it's difficult, right, to just, you know, clean out bad habits. Again, I spent 2 years of my life with like a teacher that didn't really fix my habits, and then once I switched to my teacher that I stayed with for 15 years through high school, we spent the first year fixing, or like not year, but like first several months fixing all my habits. And so, and I did the same thing with violin. I had several teachers who didn't care that much. I switched to a teacher who cared a lot, right? And I spent all of 8th grade and half of 9th grade fixing those habits, and it was too much for me to get up to a competitive standpoint or standard, especially to make it worth my time with competing for piano, that I stopped, right? And so fixing bad habits is tough, and I understand that, but it's a, you know, again, marathon, not a sprint, right? Take it easy, take it easy. Take it focused, but also be patient with yourself, and you'll get there. You'll get there, right? Teacher used finger pull-ups on the piano to build a foundation for posture and finger strength. Yeah, I feel like I've heard of that before. I don't know how useful it is. Perhaps it is, as long as you're not applying too much pressure on the bottom part or coming up. Watch a video, you'll find tons of wrong. Had a possibility for learning as a child. Yeah. Piano teacher 4 finger lift 100 times a day before practice. It's interesting. I've never done that. I feel like it's very interesting trying to teach a child, right? And that's an area that I have like zero experience with. I've never taught like anyone who wasn't, at least in high school, and so it's like, how do you work with the physicality of a child in such a way that they can progress and learn, but then also make it flexible enough that as they grow older and develop more strength and more refined motor skills, you can start integrating more of those like higher, like more, I don't want to say proper, but like different technique into it. Like one of the child prodigies online that people like to watch is Jonah Ho, right? 9-year-old plays La Campanella. Like 9-year-old plays like Grammy Rhapsody #2. It is like, okay, cool. But like if you watch him play, I can almost guarantee you that the way that he moves his hands, it rotates his wrist to hit some of the notes, or like bobs up and down to get some of his fortissimos and stuff like that. It's not the way that he's going to do it in even 5 years, because his hand's going to grow, he's going to develop, and he's going to have more muscularity and more strength to be able to do those things, right? So it's like, yeah, it's very difficult to work with, you know, a child to not just like, I don't know. See, doing like 100 times feels excessive to me, right? Because it's like, or even too much feels excessive to me, because you want to work with the child and not box them into a certain way of playing, or because each hand is independent, is individual. You want to develop the core foundation for being able to play in a wide variety of ways with a wide variety of techniques. Some more, definitely the more correct ones, right? But at the same time, you don't want to force the hand to doing something that it can't. And just, you know, practically speaking, some people are more built for playing a certain way than others. Some people are more genetically predisposed to playing piano in general than others, right? Some people have more patience. Maybe that makes them a better musician, or like more introverted, because piano is very lonely because you spend a lot of time by yourself, right? And maybe, I'm not saying extroverts can't play piano, but it's like one of the predispositions, right? If you really want to get serious about like go concert pianist route, you're spending hours and hours a day alone, just in your head, right? So it's like, you know, I don't know. It all depends, and it's hard for me to say, okay, you need to do like X amount of exercises, right? Or this specific exercise to train this specific thing, too much, especially for a child. But again, I'm no child educator. I don't know how to teach children, so I don't know. Just my personal opinion at the moment. She has students who won regional competitions. So yeah. I mean, again, right? That's all well and good, but I could also say, you know, my I don't want to be like my teacher's better than yours, or like compare teachers or whatever. But like my teachers had very good, well accomplished students as well. Right, some of them have like touring careers, you know, as concert pianists now. After they left her and went to, you know, very top tier conservatories, and it's like, yeah, none of her students have tendonitis. That was a claim that she made on Thursday when I visited her. And I was like, holy crap, whoa! And she's like, I've never taught from one specific methodology, right? This is like, because I asked her about Abby Whiteside and Taubman, right? And she's like, yeah, I've heard of Taubman. I've never heard of Whiteside, but I don't care. Right, because each hand is independent, individual, and each hand is shaped its own way, and each child develops a different way. And she's like, Caleb, it's so much more interesting. It's so much more important to talk about how does child psychology play into the development of a musician, than just, you know, like what a certain technique or methodology should be, and then how working with each child individually, independently, and working with their talents and their hand structure and their gifts and their natural tendencies, so much more important than talking about one specific methodology. And I was like, whoa, interesting. And then she dropped the, you know, my students have never gotten tendonitis, and I'm like, bruh, you know. So I don't know. There's so many different schools of thoughts, but I come from the standpoint of I want to work. If I take on students, which I do, right? Again, on the scrolling sidebar, I do private lessons, so if that's something that you guys are interested in, right? You know, contact me, WattKeysOfficial@gmail.com, right? Yada yada. But like, I believe in working with each person individually. I believe that there are better things than others, and I believe that there's a foundation for, like, you know, generally technically good playing, right? Like, there's there's almost nobody who will say like you don't need to develop finger independence, right? Except for very niche schools of thought. But it's like, you know, you gotta work with each person individually once you've developed the foundation, right? And it's hard to, especially for a child, to box them in like that. But anyways, I'm rambling at this point. Yeah. Okay, so this is a Schmidt, right? Wawrinka, the Schmidt preparatory exercises, like lifting all the fingers individually while holding all the keys down. That's something that I suppose, I feel like Taubman Knights hate that. And some people I don't think like that either, and that's something that I don't teach my students either. I use it, I think, very specifically to fix this like hand posture sometimes, right, and for feeling, but I never stress this because it's like I think, I don't know, honestly, like I was never taught that, for one, right? But for another, it isolates the fingers a little bit too much for my liking, right? It's one thing to say strike with the finger, like this, but it's another to isolate the finger entirely, because you never play like that, I think. But that's just, again, my personal opinion. Too much, like, sure, in moderation, always in moderation, right? If you're ever doing any of these like sorts of like exercises, always in moderation. But like if you do it excessively, or if it's too new for someone, I suppose it does help develop some of the strength, right? If you take it, again, very moderately. But it does have a tendency to lead to like more of those, because like the Russian school of thought, right? Like the Russian style playing type of injuries, like tendonitis up here. So, but that's just me. That's just me. Not too much empirical evidence for me to back up what I'm saying. Just hearsay from other teachers and from how I learned. So, and how I like to think about playing. But thanks for stopping by, Ladonza. And best of luck with your continued studies. Yes. Tune in when I'm live again. Am I live often? I am live almost every Saturday. Typically not at this time. Typically it's around 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So I don't know what part of the world you're in, but it typically starts 5 hours later than this. That's when I like to stream. But I do this to stream once a month at this time for my European audience, because for them at that time it's in the middle of the night. So press them all at once. Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time, or Eastern Standard Time, whether daylight savings or whatever. But yeah, all right. I am. If Siri Chan is still around, I can get to your piece. But yeah, so this is you'll be able to tune in once a month. This is why I stream at this time. Right, it's for the European audience. The 9:30 streams are more convenient for me because it's evening or very close to night for me, so I'm not, Like right now, I'm eating a very late dinner because of that, right? Because of this stream, and stuff like that. And it's also more convenient for my Asian audience. So it's like, you know, more convenient for me, more convenient for others. But like, you know, streaming at this time once a month is not that big of a hassle. So, yeah. Germany, you should go to bed. You should go to bed. That's all I gotta say. But okay, you're still here, Siri. All right, I will go use the restroom real quick, and then I will be back, and we will do your video, and then we will call it a stream. Thanks for sticking with me, guys, and thanks for all the good questions. Yeah, like always nice to think about, like, you know, different ways to learn. Even, you know, feel free to agree, disagree with me. You might think I'm the greatest musician ever or the worst musician ever, and that changes, I suppose, your opinion of my opinion. But just thoughts for all of you. But anyways, I will be back real quick, and so hang in there, team. Alright, we back. Alright. Oh, does the chat command work? Is it piano or keyboard? One of my mods needs to tell me. Because I don't even remember my own chat commands. Because I haven't looked at them in too long. But yeah, my piano is always listed in the description since everyone's asking about it, so. Alright, one sec. Keyboard. Dang, you right, John. You got me. I don't know why I thought piano. Okay. Yeah. One sec. I am picking this up. Hopefully downloading this so I can view it on my tablet. Pog. Two pianos, one digital, one upright. Yeah. Alright. Under snow. Dope. Okay. Oh, two stream elements. Comments at the same time. Favorite warm-up exercises? So I'll either play through some Hanon, or I play through these days, especially during the school year when I have less time to work, and I feel very comfortable with my technique. It'll just be like pieces that I've been like either completed or like haven't played in a while, and just slowly through, right? Just to get my ear warmed up, get my hands warmed up. So nothing like too technically intensive. So yeah, but that's not me to each their own. If you're still working on like like technical things, especially like scales, then you should play scales. I think if they're not too much of a bore for you. Yeah. So it depends, right? If I want to work on something technical, I might do it like really technical. I might do, you know. For a while, I did the thirds. Like scales and thirds because I'm still not good at those, but I really should devote time into getting good at all these like technical things that I did, you know, back in the day. But like I'm comfortable enough with most things, probably all things, right? There hasn't really been anything that I've seen that I was like, wow, I've never done this aside from octave gliss, but like, I mean, whatever, it's an octave gliss, but like there aren't like very many things that I struggle to learn in a piece if I haven't like, for the ones that I haven't like mastered. So like scales, of course I have down, right? Like stuff like that. So anyways. Wait, what is it? I hope the background music prevents me from getting copyright struck because it's different enough. Yeah, so anyways. Alright. How do I get my skills to that level? Practice. Ha! I don't know what else you expected me to say. It's not like so I will say that I never did anything to like specifically grind my skills up. It's just I played them for several years, and then like over time it became much more comfortable, much faster. So there was like after I think by the time I was in like 6th or 7th grade, like the way I played scales was just or like just rattle them off. Right, and then my teacher would yell at me for rattling them off, and I'm like, oops. And so I didn't play that many scales. But whatever, you know, 40 hours, yeah, 40 hours of work a day, that's what it takes. But anyways, allow me to, Siri, you can feel free to join the voice chat, and we can start whenever. Let me pull up the video. Oh, rattling them off is just like playing fast and playing like without like thinking. So like it's like kind of messy, right? But I'm just playing fast, right? And I'm not thinking. I think there's like a time and place, right? And, like I did this a lot before competitions, just to get myself like warmed up because I would be. A lot of competitions were in the winter, right? My hands would be cold, and I sat in the car for like several hours driving there, or like an hour or so, and I'd be like, okay, practice room, right? It's time to rattle off some scales to get warmed up. But it's far better to not do that and to actually feel the key and be articulate to some degree, right? So again, time and place. But you know, this is also fun, like just going up and down, you know, and then contrary motion. Yeah, I haven't practiced too long, but yeah, I remember the first time I was introduced to that, and I was like, dang, dope. How am I doing, Mad Piano Life? Thanks for stopping by. I'm doing pretty well. It's been a nice stream so far. Hopefully, I won't be going for like 3 hours, 4 hours. We usually do, but I feel like these European time streams are very nice because I do get a different audience, and I get like very similar questions, right, every single time. But it's like, you know, it's due because you guys don't show up for the other streams, and I'm happy to answer questions for you guys too. So, anyways, those are some clean scales. they should be cleaner, but that's okay. I'm like smearing some of the notes, but that's But literally lots of time. Hello, Kane. Yeah, and this is again. Why I stress the foundations to playing so much is because of the fact that I would attribute to most of my skill today to having a strong foundation. I learned and grinded when I was a child, right? Perhaps not entirely by my own volition, right? But like as a child, you don't have the discipline to do really anything, right? Except play games all day and like I don't know, whatever. So I don't resent my parents at all for sitting me down and making me practice. But it's like because literally because of that, I could like ease off the gas pedal for the last year or two of my high school career, and still like a year and a half after not playing too much at college, come back and like after like 6 months to a year be better than I was in high school, when I was grinding. So it's like it literally the only thing that I can attribute that to, right, is the strong foundation, and so that's why I talk so much about it. Chopin Opus 55 number 1. Not sure what it goes like, so I don't know. I haven't listened to too much with opus numbers, so I can't recall them at will per se. But anyways, sorry for keeping you waiting. Siri, allow me to start transitioning over to video reviews. All right. Do I consider myself among the best pianists in the world? I think that's a very funny question because I think definitely not. I feel like I am an okay pianist, if I'm being honest. I know there are times when I feel like I'm very subpar. There are times when I feel like at best I feel like I'm decent or good, right? But I feel like I'm okay. And why do I say that? Because I have enough technical ability to do most things. I have enough technical ability to play in tempo for most of the things that I want to do. But I don't have a streak. Like I don't have competitions to be like, hey, look, I'm this good because I've like competed and done stuff. I don't have a long successful touring career, right? But I do have strong foundation, strong fundamentals, and a very, I suppose, a unique way of listening to things, or perhaps a more critical way of listening to things, which I suppose, at least based on how the channel is doing, it might predispose me to teaching, and might predispose me to also having interesting interpretations, which is, I suppose, what now some people are here for as well. So, do I consider myself among the best? No. Nowhere near. I've always, the best can perform very, very well. I've always struggled with performing, right? Like, I mean, sure, even Martha Argerich apparently gets, really bad nerves when performing too, before performing, which was part of the reason why she... Was it part of the reason why she canceled so much? On the last second? I forget. I don't know enough about Argerich to really make those sorts of claims, but I do know that, she said, perhaps in interviews before, that she does get strong nerves, but, she can play through them very well, whereas I've never been able to play, through a set in the way that I want to. I'm good at performing in the sense that I can recover and, hide my mistakes very well, but, never, if I, for example, if I had grinded all the way through maybe things would be different if I went to conservatory, right? That was a consideration. I if I took piano really seriously in 9th or 10th grade, even, I could have put together something to audition. And in fact, I was encouraged by, a few people to give that a thought too. But nowadays, maybe the life experience going to not a conservatory, right, gives me an edge. There's some sort of edge. But I don't know. Anyways, sorry, that was a long dissertation, 2-minute long dissertation on whether or not I think I'm actually good. The best among the okay pianists. Yes, I suppose that is my title, the best among the okay pianists. But I think that's something that you guys can judge for yourselves, right? At the end of the day, I don't want to be the best, whatever that means, right? I don't care about being oh wow, Watt can play Moonlight Sonata at 210 BPM and have it sound clean and have some phrasing to it, right? I care more about, does Watt really think about his music, and when he plays, does he communicate the message that he wants to communicate, right? Just like that video I just put out this week that nobody watched. Or fewer people watched than usual, right? Which makes sense, right? Who's a pianist? Who wants to watch that? You came here for the animes reviews, right? But that's fine. But it's like, how I rate how good I am or how I'm doing is by how well I feel like I'm communicating via my music and how well my ideas are coming through. And it's when those aren't going well that I feel like I'm doing very poorly. And frequently I find that, like, at least in performance, I'm not doing as well as I should or I want to, right? Which is why I hesitate to rate myself better than, you know, whatever. But again, if best means technical aspirations, then I don't want it. So, anyways, hopefully that wasn't too long of a discussion. Or too out of hand. But, let me take a sip real quick before we start listening. Yes, not just doing insanely technical things. Watch my video. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's like, it's one of the few videos that, like, my own videos that I can, like, sit there and watch, because I feel like I need to remind myself sometimes of, like, what I want to hold to be true. Because you know how it is, right? Like, you always have an ideal that you want to be true, that you believe in, but you yourself always fall short of that. Or you feel a certain way or different way, even if the conviction, like, is correct. And so it's sometimes the constant reminder of that conviction that's required. Because certainly I feel down in dumps all the time about how I play. So, I certainly think put too much stock in my technicality than musicality at times too. I am very human, but, like, I don't want to, right? I don't want to do that, and so it's a growing process for us all. But anyways, let us begin. Let's see. Volume. Is volume okay? And again, Siri, you can opt to just text and chat, or you can voice call or unmute. Either works. Okay. Oh, 1 a.m. Yeah. All right. Chat. How's the volume? Volume's all right. Thanks, Sam. Appreciate that. All right. Okay, poggers. Let us begin. So I don't know what this is. Kazusa Classic Piano Pieces. Yeah, I don't know what show this is from, or, like, where it's from, but it sounds good, so I don't care. Let me move my OBS over just so that I can still see some of what I'm doing. Yee. All right, here we go. When I hear that, like, the ball, so, oh, it's a visual novel. Interesting. Perhaps I'll look into it. But when I hear that opening, I just think Claire Loon. Interesting choice to play with one hand. I personally think that the left hand probably would make this jump easier and help you get a little bit, right, like a more lifty, or like this sort of like a ethereal texture, or like twinkling texture from the higher notes, simply because you can come up and have a little bit more control instead of jump. But it works, right? And it's also a personal choice and preference. So, yeah. Yeah, very nice. Sounds a little bit detached. I'm not sure. Is it though? Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, so you're changing fingers, which is good. Kind of? Yeah, oh, so even the MIDI is detached. So, what I recommend, because because all this is like very connected and smooth. Like when you're changing fingers, hold the pedal, right? But also try to drag the fingers into each other like that. Like, I don't know if you can see. But, so for example, like with the starting phrase. Right, like literally as this finger lifts, the other finger is already ready to strike the key. And that'll help with gluing it together a little bit more and having a little bit more of that shape and contour to the playing, to phrasing. Same thing for, you know, you drag the notes into each other, which is good, especially for something like this. But yeah, so again, try to glue a little bit more with this finger pass. Like here, it's okay to turn the wrist, right? Because you're going slowly, so you don't need to necessarily bounce immediately over as though you were doing like a faster arpeggio like that, right? So glue everything together a little bit more. Right, like that. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Yes. What type of learner would I say I am? Was this tactile, auditory, or visual? I think I am a tactile learner. At least that's what the quizzes in middle school told me. But I think it's pretty true. Once I get my hands on something, I feel like I understand it a little bit more. It's kind of like doing the physics problems that helps with learning and not just, you know, seeing somebody do it. But I suppose that's for everyone, so it's kind of hard to say. I think I learned the most in my laboratory electronics class compared to like all the more theoretical classes. I don't know if that's true for everyone, but like, and obviously I don't remember much of it now because it's been, you know, a year and a half. But like, I remember getting a lot out of it simply because, you know, I could do the theory and then I could sit down and build the circuit and then see how and read the voltmeters and like all this stuff and see how it worked. So probably tactile. Yeah. Anyways. Ooh, left hand. Yeah, I would connect the left hand too, simply because again, I don't know the original, right? So I'm just gonna assume, looking at the score and looking at how and hearing how it sounds right now, that all this is very connected and very melodic. I miscounted. I'm getting the rhythm wrong. And so everything should be like connected like a lot more. You probably notice you don't connect enough. Yeah, so a good way to practice this is to play without pedal. Because when you play without pedal, you can't connect with the pedal anymore, right? Like you don't have that crutch. And so you hear when you don't. Or. And you say to yourself, I need to play it how I want it to sound without using the pedal, right? And that's probably the biggest thing that will help with this. Right, so like without pedal, in order to replicate some of the effects of the pedal, I drag the notes a lot more, right? So it's kind of like with Beethoven. What is it? So Beethoven's Opus 2, number 3. Right, so that's how I learned it first. Sorry, I'm kind of like rambling and trying to remember things. That's how I learned it first, or worked on it first before I added a touch of pedal. So I still drag the notes, so I can use less pedal, so I get a cleaner sound. So that'll probably be helpful to work it through that way. Yeah. Good. Ooh, that trill. I just want to say, I'm gonna look at it because it looks like something that could benefit from maybe a bit of technique. Okay, so with a trill like this, right, especially when it's so soft, yes, it's hard to play with just finger and not have it like come out, right? Like a lot more than you wanted to. So one of the things that I find that helps me a little is when I have a soft trill like this, first flatten out the fingers, right? So not exactly entirely flat, but like flatter instead of just like this. Let's see what you do. Yeah, so you can flatten out just a tiny bit more and use a little bit of wrist rotation to help control that, right? So instead of just all like this with fingers, like this, da-da-dum, right? You can try first doing it like this, da-da-dum, right? Literally turning the wrist and then adding back a little bit of finger, right? So like that. And that'll help keep it softer. Yeah, and again, same comment about reaching over. Yeah, so when you go up, you can, I think the down up lift will help make this sparkle a little bit more. So even if you hold it a little and then come up. So this is one instance where I would say use the pedal to quote unquote cheat and not have to hold the entire length of the note, which is what you're doing already. But it's just you can also, I think, incorporate a little bit of that down up wrist motion, right, to help lift and give it a little bit lighter touch. Yeah, because one or two of them I think compete a tiny bit with the melody, but that's okay. Ooh, I like that lift. That's unique. Yeah. Okay, so that F. I think this F has to ring a little bit more, especially since it's syncopated, right? We expect this F to come on the downbeat, the strong beat, and I wasn't watching your hands, so I assumed that you lifted this note like you did for many of the others, and you were kind of relying on the pedal to have it sustained, but you changed pedal, so this F didn't ring. And so it's important to, especially with the melodic elements that are held, they have to ring through the mud, right? Like through everything else, they have to stand on top constantly. It's helped by the fact that it's louder initially, but it still needs to be audible through the rest of the note duration. So holding this and playing, again, without pedal, right? Like that, and practicing that way will help. Yeah. You know, with I feel like after doing these sorts of review videos since like February, most of the things that I comment on in one session for one person, right? It all pivots around like one problem, I think. Except for, you know, people who are, you know, more advanced, whatever. Like some of the videos that I've done. Who was it? Like definitely today with Calico, right? And then some. I forget. I feel like I've done one or two more of it. Like looking, did I do Fruits video? I forget. But it's like all the problems tend to revolve around like one or two things for beginner intermediate to like beginner advanced, you know, players. Simply like for beginners, it's like all sorts of like technical issues. For advanced players, it's like everything is like solid enough that where you're just like talking about like different ideas and bouncing ideas off. Oh yeah, it was with Ye. Yeah, yay, way back for one of his BTS covers, I think. But like with beginner advanced, beginner intermediate to beginner advanced, most people have like one biggish problem with like the piece, like technically, and that like kind of hinders everything else they're trying to do. And so it's almost like not worthwhile, or not, I don't want to say not worthwhile, but it's difficult to talk about the other problems that come up, right, that are still there, simply because everything is revolving around one thing. So, and I suppose that's like the encouragement too, right? It's like when you're working on like a piece as someone who's like been playing piano for a while, right? Like maybe like a few years. I know. Did I just say a few years to become intermediate? I'm not gonna be able to play Unravel after like 3 months. Oh, sorry. I don't know what came over me there. But it's like after playing for a while and having a good feel for everything and beginning to work on more advanced technique, more advanced phrasing and stuff like that, it's encouraging to think that like with each piece you can learn one new thing and add that to your repertoire, and then like the next piece you learn something else new, and maybe perfect like the thing that you did last piece, right? And just like slowly build up that way, right? So I don't think it's worth being discouraged over. Not that I am assuming that you are discouraged, Siri, but like just saying for everyone out there, simply because a lot of the same issues keep coming up, right? But yeah, allow us to continue. Yes, good. Ooh, I feel like, okay. That chord right there. Shoot. I lost it. Whatever, my ear is so bad. I've been working on some like ear training recently and like moving do solfege, and I keep like singing like do re mi re do mi do re, like these sorts of interval training, re mi fa mi re fa re, right, or like do re mi re do mi do, or even up to like a perfect fifth. And like after like moving up the scale like 4 notes or so, I'll find that like I've moved where my do is, and I'm like, bro, what happened, right? So my ears are pretty garbo, but let's see what you did here. Good thing you have this synthesia. Something like this, right? Some diminished chord. But this here, right? Because there's a lot of tension inherent in the chord, right? There's dissonance. You can take a little bit more time, right? A little bit of like a rubato, especially since the next part. I'm not sure if you played it this way. It's been like a week since I've listened through this recording, so forgive me for not knowing how you played better. But at least here in the score it says, poco più mosso, so a little bit more motion. So this is like almost like the breath, right before you move into the next section. Right. And I'm exaggerating and playing too fast, but you get what I'm saying, right? You want to prep both yourself and the audience with this like delicate question mark, right? These sorts of like tension notes, like when you get the tritone, right? Almost feel like these very or like a dissonant chord, or like a dominant seventh, right? It's like a question mark that is like asking for an answer. And like for a softer piece like this, it's just it needs to be loved. It needs to be sat on, right? Like, and I'm exaggerating, but it's kind of like, what's the answer? Like that. So yeah, that's also something I feel like today I've talked a lot about breathing for Noel's and now for yours, but this is something that is like something that I feel like people don't really think about when they're playing breathing and how that affects the phrasing. So and personally, this is actually a choice, right? So I think lifting is convincing, but personally I would hold that with the pedal or like even hold it to let it ring a little, almost like fermata, and then slowly like melt that in. It's like it almost feels like a resolution, but it's not like entirely a resolution because there's something else that's coming in. And like sorry, I'm like getting so emotionally invested in this piece, but it's very nice. It's very beautiful, and that's why. So Alright, I definitely just played it too quickly, but it's okay. Yeah, so like the like you're voicing well, but I want to hear more of a contour, right? Right. If we follow even the shape of the notes, right, it goes da 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 da. And so this is one of the things if I'm playing with direction that is helped by even looking at the score, right? The contour of the notes almost dictates like how we want to phrase. So da, da, drops in dynamic. Da, da, a little bit more, da, like opens up, right? Da, 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 da. Right, yeah, I'm singing off this score and reading off the score, not what you play is a little bit different, right? Because you changed it a little bit, but like it's generally like that, right? So let me back up a little bit. I'm gonna watch your hands now, just so that I can give perhaps a little bit more specific suggestion. Yes. Okay. First off, the flat and fourth, right, inhibits some of that. But what is beneficial, I think, here is instead of just so what you did looks like you just lifted the fingers like this and played pretty flat, right, which is not great, especially for something like okay. So what am I trying to say? Because so okay, I'm going to try to explain this concept. It's kind of hard to explain. It's called placing a note, right? Placing, at least this is the way I've always called it, and this is the way my teacher called it, and like a lot of other people that I've talked to. And so, I want to, the example that I use a lot is Chopin's Nocturne, Opus 9, number 2, right? Oops. So, in my head, I'm hearing the G right now, right? Right? Because it's so important that it needs that, like, sweetness and that, like, extra, like, clarity and that rain quality to it that in my head I've heard the note already. Right? So, and that's how I start a piece, right? So that's what we call placing a note, right? It is like both the technical, I guess I'll try to explain the technical side, but it really changes depending on what quality you're going for, right? But for typically, you'll lift the finger off the key, like pretty high, like this. I don't know if you can see, but you typically don't do it as much with the left hand, right? Because the melody's in the right, so my left hand is not as adept. But I'm lifting my hand, I'll play it up here, lifting my hand off like this. So like, if I was playing that as a conventional thing, right? I'm placing the D. I lift my finger. I've chosen the finger that I want to play it with. And it's both a combination of like me doing the normal lifting, right? And then also like rolling gently my wrist into it and my arm weight into it to allow it to sink in both with the articulation from pressing the key like this and also the gravity, the gravitas of like having the whole weight of the arm. So for something like this, lifting the finger, right? So I don't know if you can see, again, sorry, the camera angles aren't great. Right, so lifting the finger and placing it on the B, so both this, the lift and coming down, and also with the arm weight rolling into it, so that you can roll down with the arm weight as well and glue all the notes together. So. Like that, right? Does that kind of make sense? So this is both a controlled movement of arm weight and also with a finger lift. And so it almost necessitates that you curl your fingers more so you have more control over the point of contact. And that's why I will point out the flat fingers here because I think it inhibits you from playing that way and being able to voice and phrase that to get that contour that we're looking for. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. The delay between the stream and whatever. But yeah, you can. I don't really care what you're watching. But as long as I just don't want there to be too much lag between me and you, or if you want to talk, but that's okay. But I think I should figure out a way how to stream the piano into Discord as well, just so that I don't have to keep this up, so that at least you can hear it. But I guess that's a problem for another time. Since this is working out pretty well, and I'm giving out free lessons. Y'all should be grateful. No, I'm kidding. Always want to provide the best service that I can. But here we go. Sorry, I kind of beat that point to death a little bit, but it is so fundamental, instrumental in so many things that makes piano playing beautiful to me. And those are this is why I like softer parts now. I've grown to enjoy softer parts a lot more and slower things, because you get to do the delicate movements like that. Right? Same thing with switching fingers and gluing them together. You want to feel this whole phrase with lots of gluiness, and that gluiness comes from the arm weight sinking into the keys softly, gently, right? It's not just the lift. Yeah, because you're playing right now a lot of just up and down with the hands, right? There's some lift from the fingers, but a lot of up and down with this coming from the wrist. I want you to start having this, not in a locked position, but a bit of a softer lock, right? So when I don't know what's a good athletic example that you would, that is something that you done before that might be useful for understanding. But it's so the one that I typically use, since a lot of people squat, is when you're standing with the bar, right, on your back, you don't lock out your knees, right? You kind of, you have your legs straight, but it's not a hard lock of the joint, right? Because you still have to go down, right? You want a little bit of mobility, but not a hard sort of thing. And when you watch powerlifters do this too, they have their knees not locked out, but it's a soft lock, right? And this is where I think most people need to start with learning how to or developing the first finger movement, but then the whole forearm movement, right, for playing, before you then start incorporating, or I guess simultaneously, depending on what you're working on, you can also start incorporating some of the wrist. But the wrist, I think, movement is taught by the down up motions from slurs and stuff like that. So this is, but especially for something like this that's as expressive, this all comes from arm weight coming in to the keys, right? Sinking into the keys, and if the wrist is moving up and down, then it diffuses that arm weight and makes it sound a little bit clunkier. So. Yeah, there could be a little bit stronger pull there, but that was very nice. Yeah. So here's a place for contrast, right? Now you can lift the fingers a little bit more to get a little bit more of that sparkle, especially since we jumped up in register. Same comment about connecting, but the overall dynamic here is fantastic. I really like the mellow feel that's coming through. Very peaceful, very gentle. Here it is. Yes. Okay. So a few things that we could try here, right? So when we're listening, okay, I'll wait for you to type your comment first, simply because I feel like this might give some. Oh, Leo, Teddy, Justin, and Eduardo say hi. Hello, Leo, Teddy, Justin, and Eduardo. Thank you for tuning in. I suppose the homies IRL like to watch my stream too. Watch me watch people play anime music. But appreciate it. First time you played a three-hand technique? This is kind of new. Okay, so let's walk through this a little. Let's walk through this a little and think about how to best bring out the melody. So first off, I suppose let's listen. Yes. So first we have, very obviously, right, we want the middle voice to be on top, right, which is what you're doing to some extent. This will be helped by not collapsing the second finger or playing too flat, right? Because again, with a more pointed finger, with a more distinct point of contact, you have a little bit more control into articulation that goes in. Obviously, flattening out the finger is a way to control the articulation, but you want to have a little bit more distinctness in a little bit more articulate of a feeling for the melody so that it stands out above everything else, right? So, and I would say don't watch animes for this because he flattens out. And for the general person, average person, right, it won't be that helpful. But first, that's what I would think about. Yeah, you watched my last vid. Thank you. But I think the second thing that we can also think about is how do we differentiate between the layers, right? If all the layers are playing the same texture, then everything comes together and muddies into one, right? So, okay, first off, there's several ways to draw the layers apart. And these are the same compartments that I think about. These are the same compartments that I think about for musicality in general, right? You got the tempo, or rhythm, I should say, and the tempo and stuff like that. Then you've got dynamics, and then you've got textures, right? And each layer, to some extent or another, can have different tempi, dynamics, and textures to differentiate it from the other layers. So the one that you're working with right now is dynamics, right? You have this one loudest, and you can still work on getting that a little bit louder, again, with the more articulate playing. But like another thing that you can think about, tempi is a little bit like less is less applicable here, right? So with the tempo, you would do something like dragging, or like that. So it's perhaps not as obvious, right, or not as big of a contrast that it's noticeable with dynamics, right? Dynamics is the main one that you're going to be working with, but the second one is texture, right? So, right, this is very connected, very smooth, very round, right? But what we can also do is we can make the right hand very short, almost like détaché, like staccato-y, right? Not exactly staccato, but we lift the fingers a little bit more, right? So I'm lifting my fingers a little bit more. I'm not playing with super flat fingers. In fact, they're probably a little bit more curled, right? And I'm rotating the wrist slightly to get them a little bit more detached, which will be heard through the pedal, right? And because it is more detached, it's now distinct from the middle voice, right? Like kind of like that. And also phrasing the middle voice, right, will help draw the ear to it melodically at the very least, right? Which also helps it to stand out. Does that all kind of make sense, I hope? Yeah. So it's like, it takes a lot of trial and error. So if you have the patience for classical, right, and I know a lot of people don't, but I would work on, first one or two like box 2-part inventions, right? And just work on the basic voicing 2 notes or 2 voices. And then move on to something like a 3-part invention, right? If you don't have patience to work through all the 2-part inventions, whatever, right? Yeah, I remember Animens recommended those. As I say in like almost all my Animens videos, or every time Animens comes up or his 3-hand technique comes up, I say this is a man who's played lots of Bach. Like even like after the 3-part inventions, right? Going on to fugues. 2-part, 3-part fugues, 4-part fugues. You have to. Everything is about voicing. Everything is looking at like where's the like motivic elements coming up. Where do we get episodic developments, right? Where do we get interludiums, and then like still the motif repeats, right? Where's the main theme? How is there a stretto for the main theme? So both hands or 2 voices are playing the main theme at the same time. Where they come in, yada yada, right? And so there's all these things to think about with voicing, and you really have to grind that when you're working on Bach. So if you know how to play Bach, you can basically play everything else, as my teacher said, I think, to me 2 days ago, which is why she forced us all to play Bach, and which is why I suppose I can play a lot of things now today. But I am just one empirical point of evidence. So anyways, but yeah, definitely, if you have patience for it, right? I'm not saying you can't learn it through something like this, but that would, like, if you want to grind it, right, that's the way to grind it. Not that you can't find musical enjoyment out of Bach, but a lot of people find it more grindy since Baroque music is a little bit harder to internalize and understand that way. Yeah. Yeah, so connecting here again would definitely help with voicing. Oh, the second part was without pedal. Was it because the pedal broke? Oh, okay, it's in the original? Oh, okay, so let's talk about that. Because I think we can make that sound a little bit like more convincing, or lack of better. Yes. Okay, so da 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 dum. Right? It has to feel like a lift. If it's sorry. Right, right, it has to feel like a down up, like da dum. Right, it has to feel like you're coming off from something. If it's just da 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 dum, then it feels abrupt, like you just got like to a point and just like leaped off of it and like stopped like mid track, right? So it has to feel like a little bit of a lift, a little bit more. So this is a down up from, you know, the wrist motion like this. So yes. Continuing. Oh. Yeah, I would connect these two, right? Because it's almost like the Kamino Tanjiro no Uta, like da da da. Oh wait, hold it. Where is it? Oh, I've lost my spot. Right, you hear the arc. And this is the same comment about connecting, but now we're talking about the big chords and octaves. The way to connect these is either 1-4-1-4, right? If you can't reach 1-4 or do 1-4 for like this A flat, then you either go 1-4 and then try to drag into 1-5 again, right, and connect. But the important thing is you want to draw the contour, even if you're doing 1-5-1-5 for all of them, because right, like that. So connecting helps you draw the phrase, and this is the exact same thing that we talked about earlier, except earlier it wasn't with a whole octave, right? So the difficulty is slightly increased. And the dependence on and pedal is slightly increased as well. So, yeah. See you on IG side. Thanks for stopping by. I think focusing on connecting is the secondary element that we want to think about here, right? The primary element is how do we draw the line? How do we draw the phrase? How do we draw the contour of the sentence, musical sentence that we're creating, right? And it's when we want a long glued together sentence, like I want to speak in such a way or sing in such a way that everything is like melded together, right? That's when we think about, okay, now I need to connect. But there are times when we think about the sentence and we want more discrete points or things that are like less connected, right? And so you don't have to think that much about connecting. And so think about what you want to say first, right? What is the contour of the music demanding or asking you to do? What is the original intent of the composer, arranger, whatever, or the songwriter or whatever? And then see if that's what you want to say as well. And then if that's what you want to say, then think about how to achieve it. And if how to achieve it is connecting, then that's how you think about connecting. So, yeah. Yes. There can be much more dramatic vibrato there. That's for you to play around in. I can't play it. It's sight reading. To see what you're doing. mild desync, but that's okay. Yeah, so with that section, a lot of arm weight, a lot of body weight going into like. Right, like all this is glued together by leaning into the keys, right? And you require a little bit more structure in the hand to be able to do that. But that's, you know, future reference. Very nice. Yeah, so again, more connectedness. So in conclusion, more connectedness, right? A little bit less dependence on the pedal. A little bit more body weight going into keys, but definitely on the technical side, more structure in the fingers and more curvature to help support that, right? And this is where the technical flaw is inhibiting you from doing everything essentially that I said. And I think perhaps, what do I want to say? Phrasing, think more about the contours, right? Where is the line being drawn, right? And a lot of times it's enough to just follow the shape of the notes, right? Right? And that the notes, the score itself will dictate, will ask you to play it a certain way. And that's frequently the way that it'll sound best. But that's also for you to mess around with. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think those were the main points from throughout the entire piece. You have any questions for me? While I take a sip of water. I'm like chugging this water. See what my chat has been saying. You're good? All right. Cool. Thanks for submitting your video, Siri. I appreciate it. Thank you for, I suppose, putting yourself out there for review. If you guys do not follow Siri, please do so. Siri-chan Anime on Piano. You should do that. And it appears that I have outed myself once again because I did not like this video. But yeah, Siri-chan Anime on Piano. Yeah, was there anything else? Nah, yeah, we're coming along. We're coming along. Things are looking good. So, anyways, back to the usual window. And time to see what the stream chat has been saying. Anyways. Turning this off. Vin Ludens, hello. Thanks for stopping by. You can practice slowly, you can practice quickly. Very true. Can't learn on round. Yeah. Round will do be wildin'. You gotta practice fastly. Yes. Yeah, alright. People are still around. Yeah, only 9 people, 10 people. That's fine. I'm about to hop off anyways, but alright. Well, since both myself and the stream are getting tired of each other, I suppose it's time to start thinking about wrapping up. Let me turn this off. Dang, I need to practice myself today. So much to do, so much to think about. Editing videos and stuff like that. How do you do those effects though? Dang. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. I know most people probably just hopped on recently. Yeah, no problem. Thank you all for stopping by. As usual, I will now shamelessly self-promote because I have been streaming for how long now? Whoa, almost like over 3.5 hours. So yeah, dang, you did join too late. That's okay, but I suppose I will shamelessly self-promote. guys, please consider supporting me on Patreon, where you can get longer length videos, because that's the thing now, right? Like most of my videos are like shorter. I put on YouTube simply because people like a shorter video, and but like if you want my full length thoughts on anything from like animens to like whatever, Patreon's the way to go. Dang, KitKat just joined too. That's okay. Don't worry, Asia audience. I always stream at a good time for you, so it's time to give the Europeans a chance too. Yeah, I'm glad you learned some new stuff, Siri-chan. Yeah, even though I woke up 2 hours late, it's fine. But also, if you want private lessons, right? I do that. Please contact me at WattKeysOfficial, gmail.com. Dev on it. Happy to meet new people. Happy to teach. All levels accepted. Yada yada. What else? New video coming out sometime this week, and then sometime next week. No stream next week because I won't be here. I'm not going to be around. But when we hit 10K subs, I will do a Q&A coffee stream at some point. And I will be, if you are interested in seeing my AeroPress recipe, not that I am any award-winning barista or very good at making coffee in general, but if you want to see my AeroPress skills, then you should definitely join. And come with lots of questions. Oh, and also, I almost forgot, I am looking to do a video with my high school piano teacher. So if you, I will put a community post in for that sometime soon. But I will ask for questions that you guys want her to answer. And it could be anything, from like technical to like learning to like stories of when she was a child growing up in Switzerland. Sorry, yeah, Switzerland. And like learning to play piano and like touring and like playing stuff and like doing stuff like that. So yeah, or like I guess questions about how bad I was as a child. But yes, so look forward to that post, and here's the 10K, hopefully soon. I can't believe I'm always making it, guys, but thank you guys so much for sticking through with me. And anything else? Nope. Till next time, everybody. Peace.